we're going to talk about Jerome Powell, obviously, the real chairman, the only chairman in the United States of America that we in the left could actually call a chairman, really. A true central planner, if you will, centrally planning the flows of capital, of course. Ironically enough, not at the behest of the interests of the working class, but at the behest of capital. And now Donald Trump, the madman, he's doing it. It's money molestation. So we got to talk about all that, of course. Trump talks next steps in Iran after deadly protests. Minneapolis, right, hogs celebrate ICE killing Americans. Hold on. Hogs celebrate Iranian protests, then celebrate ICE killing Americans. A big inconsistency there. Iran protests turned deadly. Trump wants to bully the Fed with criminal charges so he can molest the money. I'm back. All right, do we have a blast off meme, ladies and gentlemen, after my 2-day absence? Or no? Why did I think Powell was black? Is that you're doing? Oh, I joke about like white guys with white guys who you would assume are black just off of their name. Jerome Powell's one of them. Sherrod Brown is another one. But yes. Anyway, oh, I like this one. Thank you. Shouts out to Auntie Piker for this absolute banger. Okay, that was very nice. Okay. All right, we'll blast off with this. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Trump talks next steps in Iran after deadly protests. Hogs celebrate Iranian protests, then celebrate ICE killing Americans. Iran protests turn deadly. Trump wants to bully the Fed with criminal charges so he can molest the money. I'm back. And yes, we got Scott Weiner. We'll talk about Scott Weiner capitulating to the woke mob and recognizing the reality that Israel is committing a genocide. I mean, I know we can get started on that very shortly, very quickly. For those of you who don't know, Senator, California State Senator Scott Weiner is like he's a pretty decent YIMBY style state senator. You know, there's some good, there's some bad there, right? But of course, he was also a fairly rapacious Zionist throughout this entire process for the last 2 years as Israel committed a genocide. And I mean, he was pretty aggressive. Like he was pretty aggressive in his the way that he approached the subject matter. He was certainly very outspoken in defense of Israel. He met up with politicians from Israel, including the president. He actively, as Tyler Oakley presents here, summarizes here, tried to get pro-Palestine academics fired, led a group of California legislators to meet with the Israeli government, smeared Jewish Voice for Peace as bigots, and also co-sponsored legislation to ban teaching about Palestine in California schools. And now Scott Weiner is running for office, running for Nancy Pelosi's seat alongside Saikat Chabarty and a bunch of other people. Now, for that reason, I fucked up his last name. Chakrabarty. And Saikat has some good and some suspicious aspects to his run as well, but I can't tell if you're doing a bit, but it's Wiener, by the way. Oh, sorry, I wasn't. In any case, it's Shoikat. He's Bengali. Okay, Hassan, you're a clown. Wow. I'm glad to be back, everybody, so that people could come in and do that. Okay, so Shoikat, I don't believe Scott Wiener is honest in the statement, but it's encouraging that he feels the need to do this. It shows a real shift in the primary electorate that being pro-Israel is now a liability. It absolutely is. And yes, that's precisely what's going on here. Okay? So here's how it actually started. So they're all running for Nancy Pelosi's seat, right? And there was this conference taking place where all the candidates are they have these paddles, yes and no paddles. Okay, they have these yes and no paddles, and with the yes and no paddles, they're asking them a bunch of questions like, oh, do you believe this? Do you believe that? Here's the video where the question is, is Israel committing a genocide? So they're all pro Medicare for all. You don't want to look like that, man. You don't want to be out there looking like that. California State Senator Scott Wiener. You don't want that. Okay? Sitting there looking like that. Rough. No answer is the worst answer. Yeah. In any case, I mean, he has done a lot of stuff. Yesterday, the president of Sonoma State University aligned with the campus with BDS, a movement whose goal is the destruction of Israel, home to 7 million Jews, all this stuff. Like, he has been a pretty active supporter of Israel throughout this entire process. Like, pretty vicious. Yeah. AB 715 threatens to censor Palestine in schools. AB 715 is a dangerous bill that threatens free speech and curriculum in California classrooms, championed by Jewish Legislative Caucus member Senator Scott Wiener. And Assembly Jesse Gabrielle and Rick Spoor. This bill is a coordinated effort to stifle any criticism of Israel and censor Palestine within California public education under the guise of combating anti-Semitism. Last week, I co-led a legislative delegation to Israel with both Jewish and non-Jewish legislators and several community organizations. This was in 2014. Okay, this was in the month of February in 2014. So make no mistake, this was very deliberate. This was on purpose. He did this after Israel had, or am I saying 2014? 2024. God damn it. Not 2014. I apologize. 2024. This is after October 7th. And during this devastating time of war and violence, we met with a variety of leaders, he says, and, the variety of leaders includes the president of Israel. So he gets yelled at, understandably. Cries of free Palestine could be heard. People wearing keffiyehs. And I suspect that, I'm glad, trigger warning, by the way, a heinous act of anti-Semitism took place here, of course. This is, trigger warning for everybody. Obviously, probably the most anti-Semitic thing that you've ever experienced, that you've ever seen, is taking place, unfolding right in front of your eyes, where you have someone who wants to be a representative refusing to recognize that Israel's committing a genocide, a foreign country is committing a genocide, and then people, of course, say free Palestine. I mean, basically, this is what happened in Nazi Germany, I think. They say, answer the question, Scott. And then they say, shame on you, which, once again, only doubling down on the unimaginable maximum anti-Semitism. Sorry that I had to put you guys through that. Obviously, this is a heinous act. An act so heinous that the entirety of the New York Democratic Party should probably come out in unison and speak out against this heinous act of anti-Semitism, even though it's happening across the nation. I mean, I suspect that there will be a coordinated statement coming any moment now, because I can't. This is traumatic. Okay, so, but one thing that I think is good, okay, one thing that I think is good here is that after that experience, Scott Wiener literally turned around and was like, "Hey guys, just wanted to say, actually, genocide is happening. I'm now officially recognizing the genocide. I've had an epiphany." Now, do I believe this? Not even a little bit. Okay? Not even a little bit. Okay? But bro switched up on Israel. No new friends. If I am the president of Israel, right, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I never believed in magic until all my dogs turn into snakes. Okay? I'm just saying, Scott, I thought you were a real one. I thought you were a real combater of anti-Semitism, and now you are disseminating anti-Semitism. It's really messed up. Okay? I love Israel, bruh. Me too. Okay? 2026 is the year where I pivot. I switch up on everybody. I'm pro-Israel now. Okay. So AB 715 wasn't just bad because of his content, but it was rammed through the last day of the session where they gave notice of the Senate committee hearing at like 3 a.m., 6 hours before, giving no time for the opposition to organize against it. Talking to people at the Capitol, they said they'd never seen anything so flagrant. Yeah. So, I mean, the way I can't even think of anything more anti-Semitic. I guess like sometimes when I think of Miss Rachel, that's like, it makes me so mad, I think. Children learning. Okay. So Scott has this take. Let's take a look.
For those of you who saw the debate clip from last week, I want to clarify that I do believe Israel has committed genocide in Gaza, and I want to explain why I hesitated at the debate.
This motherfucker is 6'7", by the way. Don't even meme about that. It's not even on some meme shit. Literally 6'7". What the fuck are we doing? Brother, what are you doing? What are you doing in Congress? What are you doing in California Senate? Like, you should be out there balling. You should be hooping. Ridiculous, okay? 6'7", don't know ball. What the fuck are we doing? Okay, what a waste. What a waste. Yeah, go grab a rebound, okay?
For the past 2 years, I have harshly opposed Israel's escalations in Gaza, and I've used phrases like total destruction, and catastrophic levels of death, and moral stain. But I haven't used the word genocide, and I want to explain why. As a Jew, I am deeply aware that the word genocide was created in the wake of the Holocaust, which was the industrial extermination of...
Wait, what? That's not even true. No, it was the Armenian genocide. Brother, what is going on, man? What is happening? No, it was the Armenian genocide. That was the initial like conceptualization of genocide and wholesale extermination. And obviously genocides had taken place before, guys. I'm just saying the word, the invention of the word, or like it coming to prominence is I believe the Armenian genocide. It wasn't the Holocaust. Legally, the word genocide wasn't used until the Holocaust and the Nuremberg trials. Yeah, but even then, it's not, this is not correct. If he's talking about the Genocide Convention, sure, which is ironic because the guys who wrote the Genocide Convention very quickly, years before, admit you're wrong, Hasanabi, shaking my head. Yeah, the term genocide was coined by Polish Jewish lawyer Raphael Lemkin in the early 1940s. Again, shouts out to the Lemkin Institute. Guess who fucking recognized Israel doing a genocide maybe 2 years prior to Scott Wiener? The Lemkin Institute. So what are we even talking about? Not only, like, there is nothing salvageable here, okay? Not only is it incorrect and it's wrong, but it's ridiculous. Yeah. There it is. Polish Jewish lawyer Raphael Lemkin coined the term genocide between 1941 and 1943. Lemkin's coinage combined the Greek word genos, race, people, with the Latin suffix sado, act of killing. As a law student, his interest in the subject was initially sparked by the Armenian genocide. Okay? In any case, this is not even an adequate argument to deny the current, ongoing genocide that Israel is doing. But Lemkin came up with the word in the 40s, citing the Armenian genocide, but the word itself was in his book, Axis Rule in Occupied Europe, about the Holocaust. Okay. In any case, also industrial genocide is basically every genocide that could be done with modern weapons. So you don't deny it? Deny what? The word was coined during the Holocaust, but he used Armenia as the basis to label the Holocaust as a genocide. The two go together because it creates a policy basis that genocides are not aberrant. Anyway, okay. Now that you guys learned a little bit more about Raphael Lemkin's coinage of the term genocide, shouts out to Scott for this take. The point that actually matters here is this is utterly irrelevant. Okay? The Holocaust is not like a special form of genocide. It is industrialized massacre, and it was heavily documented and studied extensively, but it's certainly not the only version of genocide that has taken place. Okay? Like the exceptionalist nature of looking at the Holocaust, especially when you even consider like what Germans did to other places even before internally committing this fascist act, colonialism turned inwards, as we like to say. That's what fascism is. There have been industrialized massacres, never to the same extent and never to the same, I guess, rapid acceleration, severity. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is not simply over semantics. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because this sort of exceptionalization of the Holocaust, especially in the direction of defending the current ongoing Israeli genocide, is disgusting. That's the reason why I'm like, this is not just like a misunderstanding or a simple disagreement. I think this is very deliberate. And it's probably not even being conducted intentionally. Like, I don't think that Scott knows what he's saying. I think this is so baked in to the consciousness of people who get a lot of Zionist indoctrination early on that he's having even when he is having a conversation about like recognizing the Israeli genocide, he just automatically drops a couple lines in there that the trained ear can pick up on. And this is one of those things. Okay?
I am deeply aware that the word genocide was created in the wake of the Holocaust, which was the industrial extermination of 6 million Jews. For many Jews, associating the word genocide with the Jewish state of Israel is deeply painful and frankly traumatic. But despite that pain,
like the gall, the audacity, you know what I mean? Like think about the like even this assessment, even this statement in and of itself betrays the severity, betrays the real death toll that Scott is supposed to recognize here, or rather the real violence that he is supposed to be taking ownership over in terms of his recognition, right? And in terms of his own actions that he is supposed to be saying, my bad, over, right? Like, there is no other world where you can say, oh, well, like, this would be akin to a German person saying, like, well, Germany suffered tremendous hardships in the wake of World War I, so I felt some type of way about taking ownership over the Holocaust because, like, we had been wronged, Like, so it's just it's very difficult for me to take ownership over this in some way, shape, or form. Like, not even a German in Germany, by the way. I'm talking about like a German in America, right? If you were to say something like that, because of the severity of the crime itself, the Holocaust, people would look at you and go, what the fuck are you saying? But here in the United States of America in 2026, because of our mutual understanding that like genocide is just a word, basically, okay, that genocide is simply just a word, right? You can kind of get away with saying something like this where you're like, yeah, my personal feelings on this issue are far more important as a Jewish person. Like, the importance of the word genocide for me and the severity of that word overrode my clear and calm assessment of what Israel was doing. Like, this is not a very good way to make up for all of the advocacy that you did for the last 2 years against those who had arrived at this position far before you did, right? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to say here? Like, I think this is the reason why I think this is already insincere. The good and the bad is this. It's bad because it's obviously fucking insincere. He has a lot more to do in terms of making up for it. And I don't even know if he would be able to make up for it in time for the actual election. But the good thing here, the silver lining here, is that he even feels the need to come out and say that this is, a real recognition of genocide, because he understands that now, if you want to win an election, you have to say that. You have to say the truth. He has to do this. And to me, that actually is another clear indication of this massive sea change, this massive tide shift.
And that trauma, we all have eyes, and we see the absolute devastation and catastrophic death toll in Gaza inflicted by the Israeli government. And we all have ears, and we hear the genocidal statements by certain senior members of the Israeli government. And to me, the Israeli government has tried to destroy Gaza and to push Palestinians out, and that qualifies as genocide.
Performative male behavior. That's funny. True. So, yeah, I mean, there's still obviously like the whole, oh, it's just like some members of the Israeli government are doing this, and it's not like being loudly fucking cheered on or anything like that. And this is the worst of both worlds for someone like Scott, because when he comes out and says this, he's not going to get any grace from the anti-Zionists, obviously, because we all know what he was up to for the last 2 years. He's also not going to get any grace from the Zionists, because they're going to be like, how dare you betray your own people? Like, this is what the fuck? How dare you recognize that there is a genocide at all? There is no genocide. That's blood libel. It's utterly preposterous. And basically, you know, you're cooked, I think. I don't know. I feel like this is totally ridiculous. Like, he should have fucking slammed the yes. If he wanted to, if I was his campaign manager, I would have told him to slam that yes ASAP, and then also do a follow-up video being like, hey guys, I know I've done a lot of fucked up shit, but I just wanted to clarify certain things, okay? This, on the other hand, is the worst possible way to deal with this. Stop Anti-Semitism replied to him and said they still support him because he believes in Zionism. I think they also see this as an opportunist statement, and he doesn't actually mean it. But in the opposite direction, yeah, true. Maybe. But like I said, the very fact that a person who was so loud and so proud in defending Israel for the last 2 years, coming out and having to do this, like, I'm really sorry for what I did moment, like, it is truly, for those who have been around, for those who are aware of Palestine, for those who are engaging in anti-Zionist, pro-Palestinian advocacy for a lot longer than, you know, post-October 7, this is a very interesting moment. It's a very interesting moment to observe, you know? Because I never in a million years would have thought that you would have a Zionist state senator from the state of California who has actively defended Israel over and over again turn around and be like, actually, Israel is doing a genocide, even if he doesn't fucking sincerely believe it. You know what I mean? It's a huge sea change. Take the W where you can, I guess. What is this? Hassan, I want to hold your feet to the fire on this. Do you want to elaborate on how you're comparing broken German pride over losing a war they themselves started to an innocent population of women and children being gassed at an industrial scale? I get the point they were trying to make, but there's no equivalence to be drawn between the Holocaust and Germany losing a war itself. It started as an aggressor. Wait, what? Okay. Chatter. The comparison that I was making is not one in defense of Nazi Germany or in defense of like American Germans' feelings over the Holocaust. I think you misunderstood the point that I was making. In order for this to work, in order for this analogy to work in the way that you thought it worked, I would have to be pro-Nazi Germany or pro-Holocaust. The comparison I was making is, it is utterly irrelevant what the personal feelings of a Zionist congressperson when making, like, when you're talking about something as severe as genocide taking place. That's the reason why I use this analogy. The crime is far too severe for you to be talking about your own personal feelings about what words mean to you internally. You get what I mean? That's the reason why I use that analogy. I used an analogy from something that everybody understands. At least, hopefully, I think people still understand that there is like shared consensus over that the Holocaust was a horrifying crime against humanity. I'm not so certain anymore because I feel like have been real initiatives to undermine the depravity there as well. To some success, unfortunately, but at least for the time being, while we still have that consensus opinion, I'll lean into that to, make these sorts of analogies. Give it 0 more years. I know. Give it, give it a couple months. What do people even get from lessening Holocaust? Fascism. If you can soften the blow of the Holocaust, or if you can like undermine the history, if you can undermine the historically relevant facts that led to the Holocaust, you can make an argument for fascism without people looking at you funny. Because right now, one of the major hurdles that this administration is trying to clear very aggressively is openly taking ownership over, white nationalism and fascism. And they're trying to launder fascism, but in a more American way for American sensibilities. And it's happening every day. It's happening all around us. It's something that I think many people are aware of, right? So if they were to chip off the historical consensus on built around accurate reporting of the death toll in the Holocaust, they can turn around and say that fascism wasn't all that bad. It was actually a totally appropriate defense mechanism against Jews who have historically lied about the Holocaust and the death toll, things like that. So that's the goal of fascists, is to normalize and expand on the permission structure so that other people can self-identify as overt fascists. And a big part of the reason why, at least in the United States of America and certainly in the Western world, the reason why we look at fascism as this like terrifying, dangerous thing, and the reason why we even hold the Holocaust as as almost an exceptional event, in spite of the tremendous amounts of colonial violence that all of these countries, including Germany, has subjected others to, has led to an environment where there is censorship surrounding fascism still to a certain degree that has at least caused fascists to mobilize and organize around these hurdles rather than directly mobilizing and organizing by leaning in to the historical fascist movements, like openly. They're bad guys. It's a bad ideology, and even the most like racist person also agrees with it. So that's where this stems from. That's the reason why they want to undermine Holocaust education and things like that. Yeah. Jenny Lee, what can you do about liberals who believe campaigning on the difference between legal and illegal immigrants is impossible and too hard to understand for voters? I had an argument yesterday, and 2 liberals told me that campaigning on better legal migration systems is too progressive and too difficult for voters to understand. I mean, that's terrible. That's just a terrible, silly person who wants to lose. Would you say that it's better for fascists to own it so that it's easier to identify them and keep the fuck away, or not? I mean, you're seeing that right now. You're seeing that currently. Do you think it's better for fascists to own it? Do you think it's better for Donald Trump to openly say, I'm going to Venezuela because I want the oil. I'm going to Venezuela. I'm going into Venezuela because I want the oil. I don't give a fuck what you can say. I'm doing imperialism. I love imperialism. I love death and destruction. Or there is this, some people will say, yes, it's better, but I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is because when you expand the permission structure, it's kind of like racist, right? Like people say, oh, well, I'd rather have someone be openly racist than hide how racist they truly are. But the very act of having to hide how racist you truly are indicates that there is still social stigma associated with being an overt racist. And when you actually shed away the hurdles that you must clear when you want to be a racist in broad daylight, some people might think, oh, this is a good thing because now we know who our enemies are. But what you're failing to consider is that there are plenty of other people who actually hear this kind of rhetoric and think, oh, this is actually good and normal. So when you expand the permission structure on how racist you can be, that actually leads to a very dangerous mobilization out in the open. Yeah, same argument can be made by pedophilia. Exactly. When you erode the social stigma associated with pedophilia, which, again, another thing that like the modern right-wing movements are kind of doing right now, which is crazy to say, but it creates an environment where people are more comfortable adopting it, and you can market it. You can even present it as aspirational, right? I'm talking about not pedophilia, but specifically fascism in this regard. Yeah, so the people get more emboldened. I mean, look no further than Elon Musk. The types of things that the wealthiest, most powerful individual in Western society is saying on his own social media platform about white people experiencing white genocide due to, migration and due to miscegenation was not even like a decade ago, not even like 5 years ago, would have caused someone to be pushed out of polite society. And now you have the most powerful person on the planet who literally has a surveillance apparatus with satellites all around the orbit of this planet, with a massively consequential social media platform that is very clearly feeding people straight up brain rot poison, openly stating that he believes that white people are under attack due to migration. White people are under attack because America is no longer, or the Western world is no longer as white. This is white nationalism. It's white supremacy through and through. And the very fact that like someone is openly saying that, someone as powerful as Elon Musk is capable of openly saying that without anybody checking him, is terrifying. What do you think the impact of that will be? This is a person that has a lot of influence over a lot of random people, a lot of random normies. This is a person who commands a social media platform. He can literally fucking slowly but surely get people to agree with him by doing unlimited propaganda. And he is doing that, for the record. He is doing that. He's doing that nonstop. Anyway, we are going to talk about, first story of the day, we're diving into Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem saying more federal agents are heading to Minneapolis, which is, again, very strange, right? Because remember, the Department of Homeland Security is supposed to be tasked with dealing with migrants, right? Undocumented migrants, or at least that's on paper what they're supposed to be doing. Okay? Having said that, however, it's very strange to me that they're utilizing the Department of Homeland Security in what seems to me is objectively not an immigration operation at all. It kind of feels like they're utilizing the Department of Homeland Security as an unaccountable fascist army that can be sent to the domestic front at the behest of the administration. And that's precisely what it is. That's why we say it is the Gestapo. Okay? And I want to clear some stuff up for people that are maybe unfamiliar. I did tweet about this. I tweeted quite a bit this past weekend. But for those of you who don't know, the Department of Homeland Security was actually created in 2003. Okay? The Department of Homeland Security has not been around since like the inception of the nation state or whatever, right? We've had Border Patrol and we've had Customs, okay, as separate entities, and we've had the INS. Okay? Now, in 2003, in the aftermath of 9/11 and the global war on terror, right, post-2001, we created a major surveillance apparatus and created a new federal agency specifically to utilize a new group of people trained to do like mass surveillance and mass apprehension under the guise of like at least one element that was federally controlled, immigration, right? Controlled by the White House, immigration, so that the Bush administration at the time could take on whatever they wanted to and engage in mass surveillance of like Muslim communities, send them to fucking send them to Guantanamo Bay, things like that, right? ICE has no reason to exist. Something like the Customs and Border Patrol makes sense, but there's no reason to have an internal migrant hunting army. Law enforcement can deal with crime. Customs and Border Patrol can deal with the border. Exactly. And that's what it was. That's how it used to be. That's how it used to be until 2003. Okay, so when people say, oh, dude, what do you mean? Can we not have any fucking borders? You can't have a nation without borders. It's like that's not the function of the Department of Homeland Security. You've just believed this lie. As I said, I love when people act like ICE has always been around, like we didn't have any border control before Department of Homeland Security was created in 2003. We had the INS, Customs Service, and Border Patrol before it all merged into an insane surveillance behemoth that is now Trump's personal Gestapo. Idiots. Okay? Because that's what it was. It wasn't like open presence, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. It wasn't. The Department of Homeland Security's function was not to actually, protect American borders or anything. That was the reasoning and the justification that they used to develop this like mass surveillance and unaccountable military force that they can use in the domestic home front. That is the real reason why they did that. This is the Patriot Act. This is the aftermath of the Patriot Act. Okay. So when people say like abolish ICE or abolish the Department of Homeland Security, this is what they're referencing. So I hope people understand. What is this? Well, since my post clearly inspired you. Yeah, I love these bot accounts. Yes, I learned about this from you, Gator Gar, Yala Gator Gar. Yes, this person is saying that the INS has been conducting deportation operations inside our borders for almost 100 years. Okay. The stupidity of this, of course, is that the INS was tasked with dealing with a civil offense because that's what border crossing is. Okay. That's what it is. It's not this whole this is actually a felony, and perhaps the most violent felony of all time is a new phenomena. The notion that immigration is anything beyond a civil misdemeanor is one, not even in the fucking rule books for the record, even though we have changed the rules a little bit to make it more a more severe crime. For example, if you're caught crossing the border illegally or overstaying your visa, and you're deported, right, in a relatively peaceful process for the record. This isn't like, this isn't supposed, like this new version of like door knocking operations or dragnets, like that's not how it's supposed to go. But normally it's a process that you can deal with paperwork, right? Because that's all this is. And it's been treated like that for a very long time. The notion that this is actually a severe felony or all of these people are actually criminals and they're coming here to do rapes and drug trafficking and whatnot, that is a new attitude, or at least that's the old attitude that the Klan held, right? But it's a new attitude that has become, it's new in the sense that it's become normalized and mass adopted. Okay? That's the problem here. And that's the reason why I've also criticized the Democrats quite extensively for not doing enough to push back and counter message against this fucking ridiculous racialized lies. These ridiculous racialized lies that undocumented migrants actually present an ever-present danger to the United States of America, or they're stealing the welfare, but they're also stealing the jobs. All of it is inconsistent and none of it is true, right? And yet, here we are.
This morning, furious protesters bracing for hundreds more federal agents to descend on Minnesota as outrage grows nationwide over the deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis. Thousands taking to the streets in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. Protesters were demanding an independent investigation after disturbing cell phone videos showing ICE agent Jonathan Ross fatally shooting 37-year-old mother Renee Good last week. Over the weekend, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem doubling down on her position.
Democrats were behind many of the anti-immigrant movements in the 1900s, as early as back as the Reconstruction. Yes. Yeah. This is also true. Even in the not even the 1900s, in the early 1990s, up until the early 1990s, Republicans were Ronald Reagan did mass amnesty, guys. Republicans were way more open to migration into the United States of America. And it was actually the Democrats that did not want to do this. But only on the boundaries of protection of labor. Okay. And the argument there is the argument that I always tell you, which is that if there is a two-tier migration system into this country and you have undocumented migrants, okay, and you have documented migrants and you have the domestic labor force that already exists, this two-tier structure actually does depress wages. It's true. But the solution to that is not to engage in, it was Strong Thurmond. I can't tell if you... Strong Thurmond that flipped the script of political axioms. Strong Thurmond is crazy, brother. That's a white supremacist, okay? Another white supremacist who also had a secret black child. Straight up KKK Klansman. God, American politics is a tapestry of some of the craziest, inconsistent freaks. Anyway, many such cases, classic white men behavior. That's why it's like silly whenever someone goes, well, how can this person be racist? They like have a Filipino girlfriend or something. And it's like, well, because it's very common. All right.
That the shooting was justified, accusing the deceased woman of domestic terrorism and claiming she tried to run over the agent with her vehicle, but the video shows her turning away. Minnesota officials say DHS has blocked them from accessing any evidence for a state-level investigation.
If we're going to trust the federal government, how can we trust the federal government to do an objective, unbiased investigation without prejudice, when at the beginning of that investigation, they have already announced exactly what they saw, what they think happened.
ICE and Border Patrol agents stepping up operations in Minneapolis. Videos showing agents deploying pepper spray, smashing through the front door of this home and leading a man out in handcuffs.
And George, the federal response to this deadly ICE shooting has been met with a lot of criticism, especially among congressional Democrats who are now threatening to hold up DHS funding if there isn't a transparent investigation. George.
Faith Abooby, thanks.
Now to Minnesota, where there are new confrontations between protesters and immigration agents. This one happened at a gas station in St. Paul after ICE demanded proof of citizenship from a man pumping gas. Over the weekend, demonstrators took to the streets in multiple cities to protest the deadly encounter between an ICE agent and Minneapolis resident Renee Nicole Good. The government is sending more federal officers to the Twin Cities. Nicole Skanga has our story.
Immigration raids escalated across the Twin Cities Sunday, including at a St. Paul gas station where federal agents dragged a man from his car, then tackled a bystander who was filming. We were there as federal agents deployed pepper balls and tear gas against protesters outside an ICE facility.
You stay out of the road.
Led by Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino.
What do you say to Americans, including police chiefs, that say if there is no de-escalation in sight, it's not a matter of if, but...
I hate this fucking guy so much. I mean, pure, transparent fucking bovine fascist, okay? And he LARPs as it too. He loves that shit. So one of the things that I'm also noticing that I think is good, you know how we talked about Scott Wiener and the sea change that's taking place? A lot of liberals who also leaned into the Republican insanity over immigration are now turning around and saying like, fuck ICE, melt ICE, all this stuff. They're getting more radical by the day, and that's a good thing. But that was another aspect of my back and forth commentary, which is something that I've seen liberals engage in, at least like liberals that are hyper online, who want to talk like they've been here from the start. And I have no problem with that. Once again, if you have realized, if you finally had a wake up call and you recognize right from wrong, and now you're actually willing to go out and protest, I'm totally on board. I love that. But don't try to punish people who have been there from the start. Don't try to fucking rewrite history. Don't try to act as though we were the dangerous radicals and that we actually played a role in what's taking place here. When in fact, the administration, the Democratic Party, played a role in normalizing this kind of violence by refusing to counter message against it And there was someone who was correctly saying that this would inevitably lead to exactly what's going on. And that person was people like myself. So it is not lost on me that there are a lot of people who are trying to, a lot of liberals who are trying to act as though they were here all along. You know what I mean? Will Stansel is personally tracking ice agents around Minneapolis in his Honda Fit. That boy is just built different. I'm just saying, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly happy with that. This is not about like I was right and you were wrong or anything. It doesn't matter to me that much. What does matter to me, however, is that if you don't identify why you were wrong initially, quietly, if you don't identify what led you to believe that the Democrats were operating with the best possible agenda in the election cycle that actually did not offer any counter message to this like unlimited racist bullshit towards migrants, and how that normalized in the eyes of a lot of Americans this kind of violence that was inevitably going to take place, you will fall for it again. Same goes for, supporting the current war, but not the previous ones, supporting all the previous civil rights movements, but not the current one. Okay? You can't do that. So I don't want people to, I don't know. I just don't, like, I see stuff like this. I don't know who this guy is. I've only seen some of his stuff before, like shitting on me over Israel and whatnot. And I've been finding myself liking people like this and their takes a lot more, right? Because there is this like real unification taking place, at least against the Republicans, right? And I said, am I crazy or are you normal now? He said, Hassan, you're normal as being a tanky boot slurp. I have been a liberal this entire time. And I said, okay, I'll give it a few more months before you hate the right as much as I do. Check back soon. And this guy was retweeted by Destiny when he responded to you. Yeah, I don't really care about all that stuff, obviously, because I don't think these guys have ever had like a real constituency in the real world. But what I find really strange is, stuff like this. It's incredible how for the last several years, those of us who have tried to build a community of liberal democratic online commentary had to constantly face off commies trying to either subvert what we do or drive us off the internet more so than any far right assholes. I said, I don't know any of you at all, but if you spend most of your time left bashing and signaling to the right how moderate you are, it's not strange to assume you like reactionaries. So it's either time to unite or still complain about the left when the left hasn't changed gears. What the fuck did he call you? I'm too old for that one. He just said I'm a tanky. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. He's saying that I just like authoritarian leftist movements or something. I don't know. Whatever his fucking worldview is. Now, once again, this is not about like, oh, you need to be held accountable. You need to be held accountable. I am much more open-minded than many of my counterparts are on the left in terms of welcoming people with open arms. When they actually recognize the errors of their past ways, right? But what's actually frustrating is like if you are still talking about the tanky threat when the fascist Gestapo is literally knocking on people's doors, then you're objectively not dialed in to exactly what's going on. Like you don't understand it. You don't understand what you're saying. You're still trying to find this like weird moderation, not realizing that weird moderation that you're desperately trying to signal is unironically just normalizing the right. Okay? That's it. That's it. Hassan, is it possible for you to conceive that people might dislike the right and also dislike the left? In fact, for very similar reasons. Austin Ox responds, is it possible for you to conceive that conflating open fascism with the people flirting against fascism as being very similar is a dumbass opinion people should mock you for? Name the reasons and let's see. My God, is Hassan so thin-skinned that he's now sending his editors to whine at us? Yeah, I sent my editor. That's what I did. I was like, Austin Ox, please defend me. So what's frustrating about this kind of stuff is if you don't realize like how we got here, like if you don't have the solid fundamentals in your analysis on how we arrived at the current ever-present danger that we're facing as far as America turning into a complete fascist dictatorship, okay? Because it is at our doorstep. We're already in the waters of fascism, but it hasn't turned into like a full authoritarian, I guess, fascist movement. Like the courts are still there to a certain degree. There is still like a little bit of ticker tape holding this entire thing together, right? But my assessment right now He made fun of the genocide in Gaza, by the way, as of 5 hours ago. Yeah, my point always is like, you guys have to, at a certain point, you don't have to like say it out loud, right? Well, you have to go back and really reconsider what your first principles are and how you arrived at like the wrong conclusions initially until it was slamming you in the fucking face. Yeah, these liberals just see the tide turning, so they're trying to infiltrate these already established movements so they can control it. I know, and it's ironic because they think we are doing that. Like the attitude that I'm seeing from people like this is very strange. Like they make it seem as though like the left is actually trying to take advantage of this tide shift, as though we haven't been at the forefront of this tide shift, especially even against the Democrats at certain points. And that's what's so frustrating about this is like, this is not productive in general. This is an opportunity for you guys to go, hey, you know what? Let's let bygones be bygones. Like, I'm the one who's being nice. I'm not the one who's being vindictive here when I should be vindictive. I should openly treat you as a fucking enemy, right? Ultra leftists are just annoying while the far right is killing people and destroying democratic institutions. Exactly. This has always been my principle. And that's precisely the reason why I have maintained the position that I don't left bash in general. At most, I make jokes about it, whether it be anarchists or, ultras of all different sorts and varieties. But I don't spend a good deal of time shitting on the left or shitting on the people further to my left, or at least in the way that they present themselves, because I understand that they don't necessarily have any power whatsoever. And not only do they not have any power whatsoever, they are directionally moving the conversation in the appropriate direction. So, what is this? Hey, Hassan, as a longtime watcher, I'm really disappointed in your Iran protest coverage. I watched your YouTube video and all you did was make fun of a dumb chatter just claiming everyone wants a monarch. No one wants a monarch, even people who are chanting his name. They want a secular democracy, and Reza Pahlavi is the only person right now championing it. Yeah, I don't think the monarch is championing a secular democracy. Let's be real. That sounds a little inconsistent, but we'll get to Iran in a second. Don't worry. I'm going to of course, I'm going to be talking about Iran extensively today. But there's multiple factions here. We have the Shah, we have MEK, and, a lot of outside interests. And then there's also an incredibly diverse country, Iran, that is led by the repressive forces of the Islamic Republic. But we'll get into all of that in a little bit. Let me keep talking about the repressive forces in the American regime for now, and then we'll get into Iran in a little bit as well. When I say I only mean not only the person, I mean one of the few who actually cares about the country and does not want to hijack it. Chatters, chill. Yeah, okay. We'll get into it. I don't think that it's again, we're going to get into it in a little bit. Okay. Liberals stop the Holocaust, you absolute moral leper. No, actually, people who stopped the Holocaust are not as bad as the people who perpetrated it. That was the Soviet Union. What are you talking about? Anyway, it's just like, I don't understand it. I don't understand that these guys cannot, like, liberals have no capacity to fucking read the room whatsoever. And what they fail to comprehend is liberalism failed in the 20s, okay? And I don't mean 2020s. I mean 1920s. And that failure of liberalism brought about a at the time considered a revolutionary movement that was actually counter-revolutionary, fascist movements in Europe, right? In many other parts of the European continent. The death of liberalism came with organized fascist movements, okay? And the death of liberalism elsewhere was rung in by, or at least like Tsarist monarchy was brought in by socialism and communism, okay? Yes, I mean the 1920s, to use Harry Emden's terminology, okay? The problem is liberalism is dying once again. And I think a lot of liberals, instead of recognizing that and then figuring out which side of this equation that they're on, they're still holding on to this notion that, like, no, actually liberalism is not dying. Okay? And that's very stupid. A liberal voting for the left is 1,000 times more valuable than you getting less people to vote for the left. That's why no one takes you seriously except gossip magazines. They are frustrated because you would rather support Elon ads for your merch than Kamala? Wait, what? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But as far as this statement goes, do you think the New York Times is a fucking gossip rag? Is that what it is? Like CNN, New York Times, ABC, like these are all where do you get your news from if you think that all of these mainstream media outlets they only talk about your drama, never your ideas? Really? So when the New York Times invited me to write an opinion editorial, that was drama. Do you understand how silly this looks? If you want to present yourself sincerely as this like intellectual, high-minded thinker, okay? When you actually dilute the conversation and tackle it simply from the angle of drama, and then you make it seem like all of these other mainstream media outlets that you believe are credible media outlets are simply covering drama and slop, don't you feel like you're kind of destroying your own argument or like the way you're trying to present yourself? Yeah, but you only serve for drama. You have had zero political impact. Okay, well, I don't think anyone in the at least in the Democratic Party agrees with you. Like the adults don't agree with you is what I mean. But that's besides the point. Yeah, when you follow after Zoran, yeah. No, that's my favorite attitude that people have, which is like you have zero political impact. I love Zoran and I hate you. Why is the DNC bringing you to cover it? It's really fucked up. You're just a drama slop tuber. Got it. Chronically online brain broken person. He exposed himself as a drama obsessed slop eater. Yeah. What are people pivoting to instead of liberalism, Bubba? Right now, I don't think the liberals are really pivoting, at least openly. They're not recognizing that there are alternatives out there. And that's one of the saddest parts about this is because like there is no further left position that is commonly held and popular. So a lot of people don't realize that there is an entirely separate world out there, socialism and even social democracy, really, if you want to fucking entertain that, These people don't exist in the real world, by the way. True. That is true. They just exist mostly on the internet. Can we talk about why everyone is so far left and right? Why is it so hard to find or hold common ground? I mean, I'll give you one example of this, right? Here. Now, this has been something that I have talked about quite extensively about hating the Republicans. Whenever I talk about how like liberals actually love the Republicans, they want to hug and kiss the Republicans, or they want to be Republicans, and that's what's really frustrating. But here, if you want to understand like where I'm coming from, here, this is a podcast called The Necessary Conversation. These two podcasters talk to their mom and dad that are Trump supporters. Okay, let's take a look.
No, it's because you're in a cult.
What if Donald Trump says, I want you to carpet bomb Oklahoma City, everyone? You think the Air Force should carry that out?
Yes.
There might be a reason. We don't know.
This is insane.
You cannot be this stupid. Jesus Christ. Oh, my. This podcast was going well until that. You just said it's cool. We levels Oklahoma. You're like, yeah, it. There must be a reason. Like, you literally can't be that dumb.
You know what the problem is? Mom and I don't believe he'll ever blow up Oklahoma because we're on his side and so's the whole state.
No, it's because you're in a cult.
You guys are worried and afraid because you live in a state where it might happen.
I think people that like my first inclination that this because of how fucking freakish this commentary is that it's rage bait and it's fake, right? And as far as I understand, I mean, I'm going to interview these guys at a later date, okay, to try to get a better assessment on if it's scripted or if it's like exaggerated or not. But I will just say that at least talking to people that I know that do have MAGA parents, conversations such as this one do take place at the dinner table or during Thanksgiving, like not dissimilar to the one that you are going to hear. Now, first he says, oh, he's not going to bomb Oklahoma, but you guys are afraid because he might bomb California. So he shifts gears. Listen.
Okay, let's theoretically say that does happen. Let's say Trump sends in the Marines to Los Angeles, California, and let's say I'm out going to see a movie on a weekend, and he says,
You
go into
better
that
get the
shopping
truck
mall.
under a truck.
Quiet, piggy. He says, go into that shopping mall and kill everyone you see. And let's say I get gunned down by the Marines for just being at a mall.
Okay, number one,
All for
let's just take
Okay,
it
Dad,
one step
wait a minute,
further.
Mom, wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. Dad
wait.
hang on, Mom. Dad, you just said you are for Donald Trump murdering me for no reason, and you would support that.
If he walks into a mall to people with military,
There has to be a reason.
there's a reason. And I'm all for it. And the people in Los Angeles, California are as deserving of execution as the assholes in New York City. You're all communists.
Chatters with immediate family members that are deeply invested in the MAGA cult can maybe attest to this, but more and more people are saying things like this in the countryside, in the rural areas, in places where Donald Trump has made a lasting impact. And what is really funny is, for those of you who don't know this podcast at all, they go, did he just say mom and dad? And the answer is yes. Okay. To which I repeated, I don't think we can live normally in a country where 20% of the population operates like this. We need cult deprogramming. Okay. And if you recall, the last time I talked about this was, once again, where liberals got so mad at me for saying that we need some kind of fucking deprogramming and education for people. They said, oh, you want re-education camps. Now I'm seeing more and more people who previously were liberal or liberal adjacent also coming to that reality, coming to that recognition. I'm seeing it more and more often. More and more often, I'm seeing people go, oh, I kind of understand why there is a necessity for some kind of education procedure, because this cult, if left to its own devices, is not exactly tenable with having a nation state. Like, you can't really have a country if 20% of the population straight up thinks like, yeah, no, all the fucking commies deserve it, including my own children. And this is not like, this is something that, this is why college isn't free law. I mean, it's part of it. Yeah, it's part of it for sure. I think a less educated population, I don't even think re-education camps would work for those kinds of people. What do you do with that kind of hog? You just really hammer it over and over again that, this kind of sentiment is completely inconsistent with the shared values that we're supposed to maintain as a nation state. That's all you got to do, and hope for the best. You can't save everybody, but that shouldn't stop you from trying to save as many people as possible. But this is once again something that I talk about all the time. This is a byproduct of creating a malleable population because they are not educated, because you paywalled education, because all the K through 12 education is paywalled, or not paywalled necessarily, but the public schooling system is completely in a dire state of disrepair. Okay. There is a massive class disparity in educational attainment and educational outcomes in general. And that creates an environment of servants of empire, not very, an environment where there's a lot of people who are just not very intelligent. And people who are stupid are malleable. They're easy to manipulate. But when it gets to a certain point where you have 20% of the population that is so firmly invested in the MAGA cult that is at the mercy, at the whims of one madman like Donald Trump, who has time and time again shown that he will do whatever the fuck he wants to do, no matter what the repercussions are. Even if the repercussions of his actions are directly impacting people like that, directly impacting people in the MAGA cult, you have to do something about it. This is me asking because I genuinely don't even know how to begin this process, but assuming nothing else changes about the country other than like an establishment Dem gets elected after Trump, assuming we have elections again, what does deprogramming look like to you? Check logs, please. I can't get into it right now. That's a much longer conversation that could take place at a later date. But the reason why I brought that up is because someone asked. The reason why I brought that up is because someone asked, like, why can't we find moderation? And the question I have is, if 20% of the country, right, just 20%, I'm not saying 20% of the country thinks this way and is basically at the mercy of a complete madman, right? With cult-like zealotry that they demonstrate over and over again. And then the other 20% on top of that is basically like agnostic to it, where they're like, I don't really care as long as my taxes are, as long as I feel like the country is moving in a positive direction under the watchful eye of this Republican movement, and I don't really care that much about immigrants or whatever. How do you find moderation? How do you find the golden mean with those guys? Okay? How do you do that? I don't think it's possible. And I think a lot of liberals end up coming to the conversation with this honest naivete, with this honest assessment where they think, no, like there has to be some kind of back and forth here where we can just find a reasonable middle ground. As the middle ground shifts further and further right from under their legs every single fucking day. Someone needs to pull at least the middle ground back to the actual center. And that's never going to happen unless you have more overt, openly leftist people in positions of prominence actively speaking about this shit. Okay? That's it. It's not going to happen, which is part of the reason why I never, I as a policy refuse to actively left bash, even though many people to my left, if there is really someone to my left, let's be real, I don't personally think so, but people with like ideological differences or ideological delineations that claim to be further left than myself will yell at me, but I usually do not return the favor. And the reason why I don't do that is because I think they play an important role in pulling the broader consciousness back to a place of reason, a place of common sense.
When this happens again?
Well, we've already said that, Nicole. The de-escalation and a lot of those police chiefs that you mentioned don't...
Breaking news, communists not more left than Hasanabi?
...seem to de-escalate. They seem to escalate.
Are you de-escalating?
Absolutely. Every day we de-escalate.
We watched as you confronted protesters right there. It didn't look like de-escalation, but are you trying to send a message?
The agitators and the rioters here in Minneapolis need to understand that our operations will continue unabated despite the violence they perpetrate against law enforcement.
Trump administration officials have claimed
the violence of the snow and the icy roads against our big, beautiful hog army. Just the fattest Gestapo that you have ever seen.
Renee Good intended to ram ICE agent Jonathan Ross with her car before he shot and killed her last week.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you.
Video taken by the agent on his phone during the incident shows the moment he fired at Good's car, capturing this expletive seconds later. Appearing on CNN, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem insisted the deadly use of force was appropriate.
He had to take quick action based on his training to defend himself and his colleagues around him.
Once he's out of harm's way.
That's very clear and factual from the videos that you can see.
Minnesota Senator Tina Smith questioned that claim.
I mean, the guy is holding a camera, he's holding his phone with one hand taking video, while with the other hand, he is shooting this woman in the face.
In a statement released last night, Renee Good's family described her as, quote, relentlessly hopeful and optimistic with a seemingly infinite capacity for love. They went on to write, we already miss her more than words can ever express. She was our best friend. Adriana.
Beautiful statement, Nicole.
Did you see this? Is great. Strength in numbers. A Somali mob rushed ICE agents in St. Cloud. In St. Cloud, Minnesota. These guys are way outnumbered. They need National Guard support. The terrorists cannot. I want to reiterate something here that a lot of people do not understand, and I briefly talked about this with Mustafa the Poet when I was live with them as well. People see black people from the African continent ethnically and assume that they're migrants, okay? Somali Americans, by and large, are American citizens, okay? 90% of them are American citizens. 60% of them are American-born U.S. citizens, okay? So when you see like a crowd of Somali people, if you're a racist piece of shit, or maybe even if you're not like a Republican, but I understand like why people look at the Somali population on U.S. soil and it just automatically assume that they're immigrants. Like, you're wrong. I'm just explaining this to you. They are no different. They are no different than like an Irish American or a German American. Like they've been here. Many of them second generation. Like I said, 60% of them are natural born U.S. citizens. Okay. So when a lot of Republicans look at this kind of stuff, they think, oh, this is unacceptable. You look at this, a bunch of criminal immigrants like surrounding a police officer. Like, that's not the case. This is no different than a crowd of white people doing this. Okay. And the reason why I consistently stress the importance of this is because if an ethnic group of people on U.S. soil are 90% American citizens, why the fuck is ICE there? Why is ICE there? I mean, why is ICE anywhere, really? It's the same reason. But this is one of those instances where you look at a group of minorities and automatically assume, because of the way that they look, that they are not American citizens at all, and therefore Department of Homeland Security apprehensions and ICE traffic stops are perfectly justifiable. It's not. It's ridiculous. Okay? So, your crooked con monologue in counter messaging is gaining traction
Republicans,
again?
they act as though there is an election every single day. They are constantly on message. They're constantly creating an alternative reality with lies, saying that undocumented migrants are actually responsible for a metric ton of the crimes that are taking place in American cities, when that is an abject lie, okay? And when I talk to congresspersons, whether it be at the DNC or even before, even after, and I tell them, why the fuck aren't you guys counter messaging against this? We are a nation of immigrants. America is the most diverse nation on the fucking planet. It is literally the reason why we are such a domineering force beyond all these other, beyond all the other, violent reasons. But like that is one of the most redeemable aspects of America that I personally love, that the Democrats completely dropped because they were scared. They saw that one poll from the Pew Center of Research that said that 66% of Americans want mass deportations. That exact same poll also showed that if given two options, mass deportation and mass amnesty, that the majority always chose mass amnesty. So why is that never communicated? Because Americans, sure, the median voter, trying to understand where the median voter is coming from is impossible, okay? You will kill yourself if you try to understand what these people are thinking.
You just lost me, Hassan. I was with you halfway through that, but you lost me, but I'm with you.
But what I'm trying to say is this, okay? There are Trump supporters out there, okay, that have been deluded into thinking that Donald Trump represented a change, and obviously we saw that buyer's remorse this past Tuesday, right? Especially in Hispanic communities where they were like, oh, I can't believe that he is actually doing mass deportation. And it's we're in D.C., this is a fairly liberal crowd, and we laugh at those people, but like I talk to those people every day, and there were people that genuinely believed that Donald Trump was actually excising the violent criminals. And the only reason why people are led to believe this lie, aside from the faucet of misinformation that comes from independent outlets on the right and also Fox News as well, is because there is no robust response from the Democratic Party that says that's a fucking lie. That's a lie. Undocumented migrants in this country are responsible for a lower rate of per capita crime than natural-born U.S. citizens are. If you pair that up with documented migrants, it's negligible.
Hassan, if Renee Good had been non-white, the response on the left would have been even stronger. What? That clearly makes them racist, or at least biased to one race. If you disagree, you have to provide an argument. What? Are you all right, dude? Why do you do this every day? Confused woke of the day? No, this is a derailer. He just like comes in here and does this shit. Here, take an hour off. There have been tens of thousands of people like protesting in the streets in the aftermath of Renee Good's execution. So he's just trying to derail and say that like the left is actually anti-white racist. But in order to make this reactionary counter argument, you have to obviously deny the reality in front of your eyes and make it seem as though there hasn't been this like robust response and mass mobilization that has taken place in the aftermath of Renee Good's assassination.
It is marginal, and they're hyper focusing on it specifically because this is a vulnerable population that is easy to target and it's easy to ridicule, and there is not enough of a robust defense mechanism out there. Yeah. And that's the reason why people end up believing this bullshit, and then they get shocked when it's actually implemented. Republicans.
Yep. I'm going to repost it again. So, I mean, this is not the first, nor will it be the last time I address this. And I will continue addressing it over and over again. And when people say, Hassan, why do you keep repeating yourself? Or why do you keep fucking debating people over and over again on stuff like this? It's because I still believe that every single time I have this kind of conversation, there are new people that listen and new people that go, you know what? This guy is making sense. Especially when attitudes change, right? Or when people start seeing the impact of things that they thought were going to be good for the country, and then they realize maybe it's not good for the country at all. Okay? Sometimes it also helps movement veterans to hear the arguments again, too. Yes. Bring the same derailers into this town hall, but ignores the vast majority of clarifying questions for folks that honestly want nuanced comparisons and explanations. Wait, what is that? Where are you getting your statistics for the 90%, 60% Somalian citizenship demographics in Minnesota? You've been saying this for the last week or so, yet you've never ever discussed where you get those numbers from. Not saying you're lying. However, I think you owe us at least a source. So 2 things. Number 1, if you actually want to see the sources that I'm pulling from Top Dome here, you can watch my YouTube videos in the aftermath, because my editors will literally go and put the direct sourcing. Because in my mind, I'm just, I'm rattling details off the top of my head in real time. Having said that, however, you can also Google it personally if you've been asking about this for like the last 3 days, right? John, why don't you ever provide sources for the 90% and 60% stats that you're talking about in Somalis in Minnesota getting that information from ... You had 3 whole days where you could have Googled what percentage of Somalis are U.S. citizens. Let's Google it. Somalis are naturalized citizens or permanent residents, with figures 92 or even 83. Here's from the Minnesota Reformer. Most Somali people in America and Minnesota are citizens. The percentage of Minnesotans with Somali ancestry who are not citizens dropped from 76% in 2001 to 9% in 2023, and as estimated by American Community Survey. Was it that difficult for you to take 3 whole days of asking this question? Not even 3. You asked about this before. You asked about this on 1/7. Where are you getting the demographic stats for America's Somalian population in Minneapolis? That would not be census data. 90%, 60%. Where does this even come from? So the question I have for you is, it has been 5 days since you last asked that question. In 5 days, you could not have actually Googled it one time. That's actually helpful. I didn't know that. Okay, but what should be helpful for you is not necessarily just like the sourcing behind this information, but also you should, in the future, if you have an issue with the information that I'm presenting, okay, you can just Google it on your own. And if I'm wrong about something, if I'm wrong on the numbers, you can come in and say, hey, I actually Googled the information that you were presenting, and I feel like there's something that's a little bit inconsistent there. Could you perhaps please address this? And then link it. Okay? Instead of just coming in here for 5 days in a row being like, where are you getting this information from? I think you could have just fucking Googled it, right? I'm not your personal ChatGPT bot. To be fair, you don't source stuff on stream enough. People generally don't know how to do research for obvious reasons, lack of higher education. Yeah, because I'm offering real-time commentary and analysis. I could fake it as though I'm encountering this information for the first time ever and go, let's Google this, or let's research this together. Or I could just continue giving you this information and move on. Of course, there's a reason why people apply this level of like hyper scrutiny to my commentary, because there's a bunch of dumbasses who have spent, the last 5 to 6 years consistently saying that I'm actually misinforming people instead of actually presenting any evidence of the sort. And that kind of sentiment is stuck. But My sources are readily available on the YouTube VODs. Okay? I refuse to believe you need a higher education to be able to research. It should be common sense to ask about biases when Googling stuff. I mean, it is something that people are taught, and I don't think a lot of people have been taught this basic shit.
This is outside of what I would normally do. I don't really have any connections to the...
Wait, what do you mean? I've always wondered if you have sources in front of you or is it off the dome? No, it's off the dome. It's off the dome. I read quite a bit, and everything that I'm presenting to you is off the dome. Sometimes I can actually get like a percentage or a number wrong because of this reason. But because this is a, 8-hour process, yes, I'm like rattling off facts from the top of my mind when I'm presenting you with an argument. I know that for a lot of people, however, this is strange because unfortunately for a lot of people that get their information from content creators online, the content creator is seemingly first encountering this perspective, or at least they have a biased framework that they're operating off of, and then they go and try to find facts that justify their worldview or justify their perspective in real time. And a lot of people will look at that and go, that's brilliant. He's doing research. He's doing research in real time. But I have already arrived at these conclusions off of doing the research for many, many fucking years before I even decided to stream on Twitch. And that's precisely the reason why when I'm rattling off information off of the top of my mind, off of research that I've conducted for years at this point, okay, you can immediately go and check and see that that is credible. The argument that I'm presenting is built on facts. Anyway, let's continue. What Trump is doing is psychotic. Protests held in North Carolina after the ICE shooting.
Democrats are the left, but what Trump is doing is psychotic. Because killing people in the streets in intimidation tactics is horrifying, and we can't allow it. We have to stand up.
The assumption is that this Justice Department is going to whitewash that case.
Okay, but are there no merits to reading Wikipedia during a debate? Why read beforehand? That's funny. You used to say you never read, inconsistent much. First you say you don't read, now you say you do read. How can I believe you on anything? This chatter is joking, but like I did realize that all of my memeing about how I don't read and how I'm illiterate has unironically caused people to legitimately believe that. Just like whenever I say I'm fucking stupid over and over again, which is something that I do believe because everyone is stupid. It's impossible to know everything. I constantly have to deal with the fact that there is so much knowledge out there that's not in my mind on any issue and so many different perspectives as well. Having said that, however, the average person reads that, the average person hears that and goes, oh, this guy's not supposed to be taken seriously. He's a fucking moron, especially if they're biased towards the worldview that I'm presenting, biased against it, you know? How are you liking the Philip Short Mao biography? It's pretty good. It's not as dense. I mean, he has he writes in a way that is so easy to decipher, is so easy to understand, and I recommend it. It's very good. Obviously, he's not like, I wouldn't say he's like pro Mao or anything like that. It's not like it's not like that at all. But I think it's the closeness that he has to the information, and you know, being a Western journalist, a Western reporter in the region for a very long time, has given him tremendous insight and shows a very different perspective than one that you would normally encounter in the Western world. That's like automatically treating Mao as like Adolf Hitler, you know, Chinese Adolf Hitler or some shit. He doesn't do that. And it's very good. It's on my list right now, trying to go through Ezra Vogel's 930-page behemoth that is Deng Xiaoping and the Transformation of China. Watch Cover Up on Netflix about Seymour Hersh. I already did. It's fucking awesome. I love Cy Hersh, obviously. That's my goat.
Absolve an office.
Please briefly talk about Pol Pot. I need good counterpoints. The fuck do you mean? Are you asking me to give you talking points to defend Pol Pot? What are you, fucking insane? Chatter. First of all, this is not a good way to seek out information, okay? Yeah. The communists that the U.S. liked, I know. Well, not just the U.S., let's be real. The communists that China liked as well.
Sort of poor conduct at worst, at best.
What can protests like this do to...
I hope get people concerned. I hope get our legislators to grow what are called cojones, some guts, to assert their legitimate power under the Constitution.
If you look at their policy against both Americans and their international policies, they follow the exact tenets and playbook of all fascist governments that we have seen in the 20th century.
It's just like it is truly remarkable to have like such dedicated anti-fascists who also happen to be liberal. It is genuinely contradictory. I'm serious. Because, like, historically speaking, liberals have capitulated to fascist movements both in Europe and in general. But, like, America is the one place where you can both be an anti-fascist and also an anti-communist at the same time. I guess America and Poland, maybe. But they don't even recognize, like, the contradictions there at all. And I think part of that is because they are the most propagandized people. We are, as Americans, the most propagandized people on the fucking planet. So propagandized that we don't even understand. We don't even understand that we are being propagandized against. Like, we just don't even recognize it. What is the contradiction? If you are anti-fascist, being anti-communist is idiotic. Presenting Donald Trump as though he is like some sort of communist is the most insane thing you can say, because communists have historically, if you have any understanding of history whatsoever, communists are the first fucking group that fascists will seek to eliminate. Organized communists, organized socialists, trade unionists, and the like are the first group that will always be eradicated by organized fascist movements. And that is because communists are always anarchists, socialists, anti-capitalists alike have always been the vanguard against fascism. They are the most militant against fascist movements. So when liberals actually present this utterly ahistoric assessment because of their understanding of Stalin or their understanding of communism, which is, again, chock full of propaganda, and totally inconsistent, because they just go, well, these are all authoritarian. We're just against authoritarianism of every sort or whatever, except if it's authoritarianism that, we have we have installed, an authoritarian dictatorship that we have installed, in which case we just won't really think about it. These are boomers, so I suspect they're using the symbol to mean Russia, not communism. You see a lot of hammer and sickle Trump stuff among lib boomers. They just see it as Russia. No, I know. Iran proves you wrong? What do you mean, bro? You're so delusional. Iran proves you wrong? What? Do you think the Islamic Republic is a communist movement? Iran is the most anti-capitalist regime? Oh, yeah. No, you're right, man. Yeah, they were. You know what it was actually? When the Ayatollah was ripping every like revolutionary, socialist, communist in the country, throwing them en masse in jail, in prison. As a matter of fact, using them as like the number one ops, far more consistently, far more like a far larger threat to the established order in Iran. He was actually doing that as leftist infighting. when Iran was purging the left mobilization that played a formative role in the Iranian revolution, okay, what they were actually doing was leftist infighting, where they were like, we're trying to do Islamo-communism. We're trying to do Islamo-communism the right way. And all these other Soviet-aligned movements in the country are actually doing it the wrong way, and that's why they were throwing them in fucking prison and purging them. Guy who doesn't understand anything. And unfortunately, this is like the overwhelming majority of people whenever we talk about fucking Iran. Bro, he doesn't realize you're making fun of him. Yes, because he thinks being anti-imperialist or being anti-West as a understandable position for sovereignty in a country that is designed as an adversary towards the West is automatically that you're a leftist. Like you are a leftist across the board. You're ideologically a leftist. No, man, that's just for survival, okay? And as I've reiterated over and over again, especially in terms of Iran or even with Hamas, from my perspective, when a country is being utterly dominated by Western forces, okay, and is in the death throes, actively trying to keep everything together in a very diverse country that is a powder keg, okay, it does not matter what their ideological predisposition is. Like that's the reason why leftists used to say critical support to insert whatever country you're talking about. Trying to learn the correct positions on the USSR and China makes me feel like a conspiracy theorist. Okay, that's fine. How do you rationalize nuclear proliferation and the idea that inevitably as an irrational actor will have nukes? Can you use global destruction? I agree that all nation states should be able to acquire nukes. You want to know something? I mean, I've talked about this quite a bit. As far as like countries that want to develop sovereignty, especially if they're not under the nuclear umbrella, the nuclear security umbrella of the United States of America, have to develop nuclear arms, right? Like have to develop nuclear arms and have to have a robust military to be able to defend themselves and said nuclear arms as well. Now, that is a consistent take that I've had. I also will say that, like, obviously, I mean, I guess we're going to get into Iran in a little bit. Hold on. Let me see how many more videos there are, because I want to watch the Kristi Noem thing first, and then get into the Iran situation. And everybody wants to hear my analysis on this, and it's understandable, but you guys want a spoiler alert. Iranian Azadi, who just ran from Iran and Istanbul now, people don't know how to calculate the situation. They're either pro-IR or pro-bombing. Yeah. As I've said before, even in the past, far before this last iteration of the protests that took place in Iran, one of the major issues with the Iranian government is the endless amount of investment that they have for education while simultaneously being crippled by sanctions. The economy is in a fucking state of disarray, as always. And they still hold on to fundamentalism as the connective tissue that reasserts their power. Okay, fundamentalism is seen in that part of the world as being the truest form, the truest expression of being anti-Western intervention. This is something that I've tried to explain to Americans quite a bit, and they have a really hard time understanding that. However, that fundamentalism, especially when you have an unimaginably educated population, is always going to lead to people going, what the fuck do you mean I have to abide by the morality police standards? This creates a massive clash with the way that the government has tried to maintain sovereignty over their own country, the way that this government has tried to reassert sovereignty over their own country, and maintain like the strategic posture that they have that, let's be real, 1/4 of the entire country actually abides by. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think like, no, every single person in Iran is actually anti, the Ayatollahs or whatever. Okay, this is not the case. There are still a fuck ton of people who are Islamists through and through, who actually love this administration's ridiculous posture and ridiculous repressive elements. Okay, why is there a clash that just sounds condescending? What do you mean? Why is there a clash? Of course there's going to be a clash, dude. What are you talking about? Like, think about the United States of America and how much we get fucking mad when the American government tries to be like, we're going to take away bodily autonomy from women in red states. Now imagine, try to imagine what that looks like if you are, a young Iranian, well-educated young Iranian, access to the fucking Western world, and you see Western liberalization in terms of like social repression and whatnot as a understandable movement in the right direction in your country, and the Republic refuses to, in this unimaginably diverse country especially, the Republic refuses to do anything but every now and then bring some reformist presidents that don't actually move the needle in the appropriate direction in terms of reforms, in terms of scaling back the social conservatism or the repressive elements. It's just not. It's not going to work. It's a fucking powder keg for that reason. I think you're talking about the concept of a relative deprivation that is a highly educated populace whose economic and social reality does not meet the standards they have been raised to expect via education and social mobility. It's the same thing that happened in Egypt during the Arab Spring. Yes, sanctions paired up with discontent over repression from the administration, from the government, will always create a tremendous instability, especially in a country that otherwise would fall to a lot of fucking sectarian violence and balkanization if left to the interest of Western states that want to cripple the only country in the region that has the military power to actually hold Israel at bay. That's it. And let's be real. Every single time these sorts of protests have happened, people go, oh, it's just like Mossad. It's America. This is true. America and Mossad are heavily involved in these protests. America specifically is heavily involved in creating the economic conditions that lead to these sorts of protests, okay? And then the government comes in and fucking kills a bunch of people. And the protesters themselves are also very violent and getting increasingly more violent, okay? Every single time these kinds of protests happen. The problem here, however, is that in the aftermath of these sorts of skirmishes, let's say, if you want to call it that, okay, you have to let up. You have to give in to the demands being made. You have to, because if you don't, then the protests are only going to grow. And it's getting to a point, especially in this last iteration, where while there is, of course, always going to be Western involvement, there are plenty of young people in Iran who have developed, understandably, a reactionary attitude towards Islam in general and are very clearly, not at the direction of Israel or America, very clearly expressing their fucking anger, okay? You are very wrong. It's not 2019 anymore. It's way less than 25%. Do you even know what the initial protests were about? Yes, it was fucking small business owners and market. It's like people not having access to basic necessities and groceries and things like that, and also specifically the bazaar owners and market owners that were protesting against the economic situation in Iran. But the very fact that was the tinder that exploded into this massive fucking situation where a lot of people died, a lot of people were killed by the government, is another indication that this is becoming less and less sustainable. Yeah, shops are closing because there's limited cash flow, so they can't even pay rent to keep shops open. So yeah, America did create the conditions for that. The United States of America absolutely created the conditions for that. Westerners don't fucking get it. Iranian government has been a lot more substantial support than they think. Khamenei is literally the highest religious figure for Shias. Middle Eastern countries don't work the way you are describing. You are so westernized, dude. When I was in Egypt during the revolution, this exact bullshit happened, and people in Egypt to this day regret even protesting. What? Middle Eastern countries don't... What are you... I don't understand what your criticism of my commentary is here. I'm Iranian. I have to tell you right now, we have only two options. Either Pahlavi to guide the way for a democracy, and yes, it's going to be Western-backed, or stick with the brutal regime heavily backed by China and Russia. I will gladly choose Pahlavi. Yes. Young Iranians do not know why the Iranian revolution took place to begin with, because they only know one repressive element, which is the Ayatollah. So they don't understand why there was already fucking mass mobilization that took place, because it was a real revolution. The Iranian revolution wasn't just like Islamist forces coming into power, okay? There was a reason for why that took place. That was literally Western intervention in the Shah and how fucking ruthless and how brutal the Shah was. Like, that was a real revolution. It was a real social revolution that took place in Iran. And I think a lot of people don't know that, especially younger people. So the only brutal, ruthless, repressive forces that they've experienced has been this modern iteration of the Ayatollahs. And therefore, they have no concept of understanding what it would look like if they returned back to a Western-backed puppet state installed on top of the Iranian population, especially in a country that is so diverse as Iran. Does it seem like anything is coming out of all these protests? I mean, I think they've very clearly, ruthlessly suppressed the protests, and the Iranian government's assessment here is going to be, it was all Mossad, it was all Westerners, and the protesters themselves were the reason for why there was so much violence. They killed, firefighters, they killed cops, all this stuff, and there's truth to that as well, but like ultimately it was the state that is the most ruthless force here, the ruthless force of suppression. And yes, remember, guys, I know that there's always going to be Western intervention. I know that there's always going to be Western intervention. You guys are being ridiculous if you think that that's not the case. Okay? There's two different ways of analyzing this. In terms of sovereignty, it doesn't matter if someone is a fucking chud or an Islamist or whatever, okay? In terms of like fighting against any sort of Western intervention, that calculation is not even, remotely relevant. There's also another part of this that I find to be interesting, especially with Iran, okay? Especially with Iran. And that is how much people like Mike Pompeo, Jerusalem Post, and many others have talked about their open involvement in the protests this time around, greatly overemphasizing how they're actually pushing the needle. Not realizing, I think, that this is actually perfect propaganda for the Ayatollah to just turn around and say, see? These are outside forces. But I think the reason why they are presenting it as such, the reason why they are presenting it as such and not even fearful of the repercussions here in terms of like the positions hardening internally against outside influence and outside enforcement is because they realize that the situation on the ground is so fucked up that it doesn't matter. They could literally be like, Mossad is doing this and there's nothing you can say about it, and the population will still rise up. Does that mean that do I know where this will go? I do not. Okay. There are numerous different outside forces that want to take ownership over the protests, whether it be Mossad, CIA, or whether it be MEK, which obviously is also an internal force inside of Iran as well, or whether it be the Shah, right? The Shah riders. And the reason why there isn't really much coverage on what the internal left forces in Iran look like is because the administration, the regime, has always considered left forces to be the number one op. Okay? That's it. Their number one op has always fucking been, the number one op for the Ayatollah has always been the left. Yes, MEK is massively unpopular in Iran. The Shah is even more popular, I think, from what I understand. But it doesn't even matter. Now you got like Rudy Giuliani shitting on the Shah. The MEK only has power amongst the diaspora, especially the U.S. diaspora. They've successfully become the main forum for Iranian Americans, but they have no real support base in Iran itself. And I don't even think the Shah itself has as robust and as popular a support internally inside of Iran either. It's just that people have run out of options and they think that it's the only thing that they can hold on to. Is the left even left in Iran? Do you think Iran will go through the same thing as Syria went through? No. Hopefully not. It's crazy, though, that the goal, I think, broadly, the goal from the West is to balkanize Iran, which would be devastating. Fucking bomb! And I don't even think, if you were to poll every single fucking Iranian person that's in the streets right now, if you were to ask them sincerely, do you want to balkanize Iran? They would say no. Iranians are very proud people, okay? They're very proud people. They've literally have revolted against Western intervention over and over again. So, like, I don't think that they would be on board with like the complete destruction of this, 1,000-year empire with like 1,000 years of history in general. I don't think they would be on board with that at all. So it's a complicated situation for that reason. But the discontent is very real. It's not just Western-backed intervention. Western-backed intervention, especially in the form of sanctions, has absolutely created an environment of economic instability and volatility that has led to people freaking the fuck out, understandably, on top of the internal repression that exists in the state. Anyway, let's get back to our regime and what we are doing here in the United States of America before I get back to Iran.
Fucking bomb you, you're a bitch. You guys are all bitches. You can't do shit to me. You can't do a thing to me. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Nobody fucking wants you here. Right, get the fuck out. Walk the fuck out, you stupid bitches. Get the fuck out of here. You dumb, the fuck out of here. You fucking coward. You're a fucking coward, bitch. You're a fucking bitch. Hold on, baby, I'm on the phone to you, bitch ass nigga. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, you stupid bitches. You're a fucking coward piece of shit. Fuck you. And if you didn't have a gun or a badge, I would beat the shit out of you. Take that fucking badge off. You shut the fuck up. You're not fucking talk. You're a bitch. Get the fuck out. You fucking pussy. You fucking bitch ass white boy. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants you here. Nobody wants you here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out.
We have power in numbers, okay? You just have to remind yourself of that. We have power in numbers. Border Patrol confronted by a crowd after questioning man at a Minneapolis gas station. Like, what's going on here? Like, what do we think is happening here, guys? What the fuck do we think is happening here? Why is this good? Why is this normal? Why are we normalizing this? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening here, brother? Oh, you just have random dickheads roaming the fucking streets, walking up to every black or brown person, being like, show me your papers. That's what we're about now? That's America now? That's what we're doing? And before people say, oh, this is what America's always been about. Yeah, not to this fucking degree and never to this. Like, there have been periods throughout history where it was there was an environment of repression, an environment of like racialized hatred, animosity. Oftentimes it was actually delegated to like the Klan or non-government entities in general, okay? But in modern day, in this day and age, in 2026, this kind of attitude is identical to the fucking Nazi regime. And the very fact that there's still 20% of the population that doesn't realize what the fuck's going on is crazy, okay? I mean, this is a 1-to-1. And it's ironic because this is what I said was going to fucking happen over and over again. I kept repeating over and over again. Why is no one talking about this? Was the number one thing. If you were in here during the election cycle, one of the things that I kept repeating over and over again was, guys, they're going to do mass deportations. They're going to do Gestapo. They're going to do mass deportations. Imagine what that looks like. What do you think that will look like? That would mean, you know, militarized units in fucking every neighborhood demanding to see papers and then shipping them off to concentration camps. Okay. Why are the Democrats not bringing this up? Why are they not routinely saying this is completely unsustainable and it's going to get worse? Did people in Germany treat the Nazis like this? I mean, first, yes. And then you know what happened? Okay. Not only a failed revolution, but also what ended up happening is, and this might come as a surprise to at least, liberals who don't have any understanding of the history of Nazi Germany, they started arresting the people that were fighting back. And the people that were fighting back, at least in an organized manner, were the communists, were the socialists, were the trade unionists. Those are the people who were fucking fighting back, actively taking up arms, as a matter of fact, taking up arms against the brown shirts, right? Why are you not talking about Iran, brother? I was just talking about Iran. I'm going to continue talking about it right now in a little bit, okay? If you want to come back in a little bit when I go back to the commentary on Iran, but like we're experiencing, you know, our version of Iran here in the United States of America, so I feel like it's still important to explain it, you know? It's a little bit reductive to say, but so yeah, did people in Germany treat the Nazis like this? There were people in Nazi Germany who treated the Nazis like this, or at least when the Nazis were building their movement, those people were communists, those were socialists, you know? You act like police are normal and ICE are the only bad guys? Why are you acting like the police is any different? At least as a function, there is utility behind the police force. The problem with policing in this day and age, or at least throughout history, is that it has always protected the interests of capital. But in theory, there is a necessity for at least some kind of democratically organized unit of people that are actually maintaining law and order, at least the presence of law and order, or solving crimes, for example. Okay? The problem with policing in the United States of America, at least historically and certainly in contemporary society, is that they do not abide by those principles at all. They don't do their fucking jobs. They're not accountable. They don't do their fucking jobs. I demand that they do their fucking jobs. At least in this circumstance, One of their jobs would be to protect those fucking citizens from the Gestapo. Okay? In any case, both of those things can still be right, okay? But it's an idiotic argument to make in this moment. Like, please, oh my God. That's hilarious, Hassan. ACAB. I know, guys. I know. It is their job to side with the state. Wake the fuck up, man. Brother, listen to me. Listen to me, please. I urge you, okay? Step by step. Baby steps. Okay? Baby steps. Please. One of the questions always is like, well, if the person, Renee Good is a white woman, and there wouldn't be this much outrage if this was a black person. As a matter of fact, the black person was killed by an off-duty ICE agent in the beginning of this year, right? In Los Angeles. And no one cares about that. No one bat an eye. It's like, okay, that's correct. But is it helpful in this moment? Sometimes people do this without realizing that like what they're saying might be correct, but it's not like in the direction of where the crowd is moving towards. Okay, I don't know if you realize, but there's not a lot of time left for fucking baby steps right now, Hassan. No, I haven't realized it. Thank you for educating me on the situation that I've been warning against for like the last 10 years of my political commentary career. Thank you. I wasn't aware, but I'm glad that ya boy, even Steven, you have dialed in and you know what is what's happening here. We're done. There's no reason to fucking currently have internal battles, internal self-struggle sessions here. Okay, we're not doing that right now.
I'm not gonna get out of your city, number one.
Yes, get the out. Yes, you clearly. Oh, what does that say? Border Patrol. Yeah, you're a Nazi. You work for the orange fascists in chief.
Dude,
Yeah.
dude, by the way, yo, Godspeed to all the fucking liberals out there, dude. This is why I say the liberals are far more radical than the Democratic Party is. And in some instances, the liberals that take it out to the fucking streets, the boomer ass libs too, they are far more radical than the fucking annoying people on Twitter. Like, they're out there literally getting in the face of cops and being like, fuck you, suck my dick. You love the orange man. You know, things that people on the internet would like criticize and make jokes about, like, oh, orange man in chief, really? Oh, Mango Mussolini, like shit that we would cynically, from an edgy nihilist perspective, make jokes about. Well, those people are fucking out in the streets. I don't give a shit if their form is silly, okay? Why are you giving liberals credit for what leftists are doing? This is not just leftists that are doing this. Let's be real. There are plenty of liberals who are themselves engaging in leftist actions right now at this very moment. Okay? What leftist is saying you're working for the orange fascist Mango Mussolini? Yeah, they're saying there's a dang Cheeto in the White House, but this time they're saying it directly to a fucking Gestapo agent, okay? Out on the goddamn streets in an effort to protect the members of their community. So they can say whatever the fuck they want.
Number one, I'm not gonna get out of your city because I live here. Oh, you want to make? You want to make? Okay, good for you. Good for you. You want to make?
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that little piggy. He's leaving. The little piggy's leaving. Oh, his feelings got hurt and the little piggy's leaving. The worst part about this is the assumption that people will have the answers to these questions they ask immediately. I've been through visa applications 4 times over the last few years. And if someone asked me when I got my last visa, I would not know. In that case, that's enough for them, I imagine, to do something heinous. I can't imagine how it would be for a random person getting cornered by ICE. Yeah. The church going aunties are out in the streets, dog. It's crazy. Yes. Anytime we see these sorts of incidents take place, anytime we see like mass protests and whatnot, I look at the crowd, okay? And the very same liberals that wore pussy hats in 2016 are the liberals that are out there, man. More often than not, it's not the youth. It's not the youth at all. It's the fucking boomers. You have to recognize that. This is why I said the Karen Vanguard is here. This is why I said the Antifa is here. They are the people who are taking it to the fucking streets. You cannot fucking deny that. Yeah. Current day liberals are like, there's a freaking orange Cheeto in the White House and we're going to fucking kill him. No, literally. Literally, the average liberal's position nowadays is basically like we must water the trees of democracy with the blood of tyrants, that happen to be a dang Cheeto in the White House. People love to talk a big game about dark woke, but the dark woke is the fucking aunties out there, dude. Straight up. It's the radical wine moms. Globalize the Antifada. Exactly. I don't think we realize like where this discontent is coming from. At least like who is willing to take it to the fucking streets. Cannot disparage the people who fight for you. It is not cringe, it is courage. They call it cringe to try to intimidate and embarrass you into not using your power to not help them. Wait, no, I didn't say that. I'm literally saying you will never catch me fucking making fun of the cringe ways in which they're presenting themselves, because they're out there. The fuck? They're out there. You need people. You need everybody. And these people are out there. Okay? Ban incoming for who? No, I know that person was talking to chat. I know.
Back it up!
Tensions reach boiling point in Minnesota as ICE immigration enforcement agents continue to patrol the streets in the face of a growing backlash. On Sunday, officers forced entry to this home, arresting a man. His wife showed journalists at the scene paperwork relating to his removal, a warrant signed by an immigration officer, a document that does not authorize agents to enter a private residence.
Okay, so that was illegal. That was fucking illegal. Who's gonna stop them? Like, that was fucking illegal. We talked about the distinction between an ICE administrative warrant that is signed by an ICE agent or an ICE, manager or whatever, an ICE administrator, versus an actual judicial warrant. You cannot break the fucking door of an American or anyone really on U.S. soil like that with an ICE administrative warrant. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. They're dressed like they're in Desert Storm while in a mundane suburbia, a sort of end result of decades of tactical LARP being done by the absolute lowest common denominator that washed out of normal police hiring. ICE agents stormed a Minneapolis home full of kids, pointing rifles and ignoring pleas to lower them. The warrant shown appeared incomplete. The man arrested had just checked in for a routine appointment.
Where's the warrant? Where's the warrant?
I'm sorry, but every single person that is engaging in this, especially at the administrative level, has to go to prison. Actually, I'm not sorry for saying that. They have to go to prison. They have to. If they don't, and there's no accountability whatsoever by the law, it's over. Okay? It's over. There is no law. There is no society. The social fabric is completely fucking ripped apart. Every single person that is participating in this, down to the guy who's pulling the fucking trigger, all the way to the person who's signing off on the fucking administrative warrants at ICE, down to Kirsty fucking Noem, have to face legal repercussions for this. I'm being dead fucking serious when I say this. They have to face legal repercussions. They have to face criminal repercussions for this. This is the type of shit that would happen every now and then, and it would cause panic and disarray and then be handled by the courts. Okay? And year over year, we expanded on the permission structure. Year over year, we said, well, cops are just doing their jobs, all this shit. And it all played a role in what we are experiencing currently. This is Nazi shit, a violation of the Fourth Amendment, yes. But if there is no group that will hold the administration to account for severely violating the Fourth Amendment, then what good is the Fourth Amendment? What good is the Constitution? It's just a piece of paper to wipe your ass with.
Where is it? Can you put the guns down, though? Can you put the guns down? There's kids in this house. There is kids in this house. Show the warrant first. Show the warrant. Show the warrant.
Bro, all it takes for one of these fucking Gestapo pieces of shit to as we've seen this past week, is to have a bad day, or to feel like their authorities threaten, or to feel like their ego is harmed, for them to fucking pull the trigger too. Because like a lot of people are such badge eaters that they see guys that wear this gear, that see guys that LARP as though they're fucking cops, okay? And they assume, oh, they must be there for good reason. No, they're not. You have to literally pull yourself out of the situation and realize that these are people, some of them have been trained for 47 fucking days total. that are Proud Boys, that are fascists, that are white supremacists, that got a $50,000 signing bonus, very little training, and are not actually doing something that's appropriate at all. They're doing something that is utterly illegal. Okay, they are terrorizing the masses. For what fucking purpose? Do you feel safe when you see images like this? Because I certainly don't. This does not actually give me safety and security at all. This is giving fucking chaos and panic, lawlessness and disorder. Not law and order, not safety and security, but instead mass chaos.
There's kids in this house. That's it. Where's the warrant? Where's the warrant? Where's the warrant?
How is raiding a home with a warrant illegal? So there's two different kinds of warrants. There's an administrative warrant that is a ICE warrant. Okay, that means nothing. It has no legal basis for entering someone's home, but they use that as a lie oftentimes to say like, oh, well, we have a warrant here, right? And I've described it before. And then there's a judicial warrant signed by a judge. If you don't have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, under the Constitution, you have no reason to allow ICE agents or any cops to come into your house. Okay? The only instances where a police officer, not ICE agents, but a police officer could at least like entertain entering your home, potentially unlawfully, is if they actually see who signs the administrative warrant, an ICE agent, like an administrator at ICE. So it's a real like, you know, make work bullshit fucking piece of paper that you use. We've described it before. I've described it before, obviously, when we were talking about the DoorDash woman who ordered DoorDash and then had the dasher run into her house, and then ICE agents were like surrounding her home, and they were lying and saying they had a warrant. Okay, I don't know why this is not showing, but here, this is the difference between a judicial warrant and an immigration warrant. Okay, a judicial warrant will say United States District Court. An immigration warrant, an administrative warrant, okay, will say Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, warrant of removal and deportation. Okay? A judicial warrant also has to be signed by an actual judge. Okay? So when you see someone present a warrant when they're entering your home or they're trying to enter your home, because you have the right to ask them, dude, you'll be right but dead. Bummer. I mean, this is not an argument. You're just a fucking cuck. Like, you're openly showcasing that you are a ginormous cuck. What the fuck do you mean, dude? You'll be right but dead. Okay. So these guys can just come into your house, bust through your door, and rape your mom. And sorry if you push back on that, if you fight back against it, and you don't roll over and also show your asshole so they can fuck it too, you're actually going to die. Sorry. You should have rolled over and let them rape your mother and you as well. You should present your ass cheeks so that they can fuck it. Sorry, otherwise you're dead. What is this? How are you so fucking cocked? What the fuck are we doing? Excuse me, officer, I'm popping my pussy for you, sir. I love law enforcement. When you're done violating my mother, can you please blow out my back, sir? Please? No warrant necessary here. Come in. Blow my ass cheeks into smithereens, sir. Fuck my ass too, please, sir. I love law enforcement. Otherwise, I'll be dead. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What are you saying? I don't get it. I don't think you're a human. I think you're cattle. If this is truly the way you operate, you are not a human being. You're just fucking cattle.
Get the paper. Please get the paper. He's not coming out until I fucking see it. He's not coming out. My daughter's here. That's a dog.
Yes, don't answer the door is the best legal advice. Except in this circumstance, there is no door to be answered because they broke the door, which was illegal, by the way. Please click this because this is you today. What is this? Wait, hold on. This guy's still arguing. I mean, that the whole America is right now, but the red-haired guy just does what he wants. It's not about right. It's now about life or death. Not fun to be right, but dead. What are you talking about, dude? The point that we're having, the conversation that we're having right now is not that the ICE is at your doorstep, dumbass. The conversation is about pushing back against this shit. And you're the only person in this chat, at least, desperate to normalize this kind of behavior by saying, well, they'll kill you if you don't comply. What the fuck? That video calling Asmonfold a rat had over 500,000 likes on IG. Every comment shitting on him at thousands of likes. His stench is broken. Containment of regular people are starting to learn how fucking vile he is. Yeah, fuck Asmongold. Who gives a shit about Asmongold's point of view here? I'm already dealing with like the fucking cowardly, servile cattle in my chat right now. Please don't bring up fucking Asmonfold.
Warrant. You should have the paper before you hit the door. That don't matter nothing. You come with a warrant. You have to show a warrant. You guys see this all on live. He said he doesn't have to show a warrant. There's nobody in here but my babies. You just stay in your room and shut the door.
Like, that's illegal. They can't do that. It's just fucking ridiculous.
I'm not even touching nobody. Get your hands off of me. I can record. I can record. I am back. Get your hands off of me. I'm not in your way and I'm not stopping nothing. You're also not checking to see who's in this house. Get your hands off of me. Get your hands off of me. I don't give a fuck about your taser. Get your hands off of me. Oh, you're real big and bad.
Oh my God, look at how fat he is. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. The absolute fucking monstrosity over here. Jesus Christ, they are so fucking rotund.
I don't give a fuck about your taser. Get your hands off of me. Oh, you're real big and bad. Where's the warrant? So you can't answer, but you can flash a light? Where's the warrant? Where? Where is the warrant? Back up. Back up, because he's asking me to do something, so now you back up. Can you tell him to back up with this taser? She's in her room, sis. Big and bad. That's what they are. 49th and Russell. 49th and Russell.
This is the worst warrant execution I've ever seen because there is no warrant to be executed. It's an administrative warrant, so they're illegally entering someone else's domicile. They're not supposed to be inside. They broke the door illegally, and then they entered the home illegally with guns blazing, and they're terrorizing the fucking person that lives there and their children that live there because they're fucking terrorists. They are Nazi terrorists. This is Nazi shit. I don't know how else to explain it to you. And anyone that looks at this and goes, this must be justified, is a fucking servile little worm, a cattle, okay? Yeah, sure. Explain to me how this is in any way, shape, or form legal or constitutional without saying, well, those people scare me, so I'm glad they're being terrified and terrorized. That's it. All of this stems from, as Matt Christman calls, the dual sadisms of American politics. Oh, well, my enemies have harmed me. I have decided that my enemies have wronged me. They've harmed me. It's liberal women with blue hair. It's black people that have, it's black teenagers that bullied me in high school. And all of these are the real villains in society. And it's the liberal elite that prop them up and never give me my, never give me what I am supposed to get from society. So at the very least, I can vote for a guy who's not going to fucking improve my material circumstances in any way, shape, or form, but will actually destroy my enemies, will harm them, will terrorize them, will hurt them. That's it. That's it. That's all this is. Because you have nothing going on in your life, so you just have to imagine enemies that are at your fucking doorstep and an administration that will punish them. Because it's not like they're going to fucking give you free healthcare. They're not going to make sure that you can actually own a home at any point in your life. They're not going to make your work conditions better. So you just have to sit there like the servile little cuck that you are and imagine that at least there's someone else in the fucking crosshairs, so that makes my life better in comparison. That's it. You're fucking cattle. You are dumb cattle. You have no self-preservation skills. And if the police were really there to protect the community that pays them, they would protect them from illegal actions like that. Exactly. Exactly. The fuck are we doing? Look. Look. Do you see that?
Get your hands off of me. Y'all the ones who need to keep your fucking distance. Y'all so big and bad, but let's see what type of citizens you are on the street without this bullshit. Something.
I can't see. Fuck. God damn it. Aren't there different levels of judicial warrants even? Like an arrest warrant versus a search warrant? Yes. I don't know if this is a judicial warrant at all. And no, the key doesn't work. Breaking. ICE Border Patrol blatantly violated the Constitution. Is there... This is the only thing... Oh, wait, hold on. This may be a little bit clearer. Let's take a look. What does it say up here? Oh, it says Homeland Security. Yeah, it's an administrative warrant. Right? That's Homeland Security, right? Yeah, if it says that if up top it says Homeland Security in any part of the fucking piece of paper, then it is actually an administrative warrant and not a judicial warrant. So it's not a real warrant at all. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. U.S. Department of Homeland Security. This is the sample. This is a U.S. Department of Homeland Security warrant. It's not a real warrant. This is bullshit. This is exactly what they're showing here. Yep. Look. It says a U.S. Department of Homeland Security warrant for arrest of alien. Any immigration officer authorized pursuant to sections 236 and 287 of the Immigration and Nationality Act of Part 287 of Title 8, Code of Federal Regulations to serve warrants for the arrest of immigration violations. Okay? This is not signed by an actual fucking judge. Okay? This, know your rights. This piece of paper does not give ICE the authority to enter your home. This piece of paper does not give ICE the authority to enter your car. It's nothing. It is utterly irrelevant. And the fact that they have like little holes on the top means that they just have like a bunch of these papers that they sign off in their fucking car and they just like rip it off to be like, see? It's irrelevant. Okay? This is fucking bullshit. You need something that says at the top, the United States District Court. You need to make sure that the address is the correct address, okay? You need to make sure that when you look at a judicial warrant before they enter your home, you need to make sure that the address is the correct address. You need to make sure that the date is the current date to make sure that the warrant is not expired, okay? You need to see if only the person and property and areas specified may be searched. Sometimes it can be the whole house. You need to actually see if it's signed by a judge, and you need to see what the actual, who the actual judge is. If the answer to all of these is yes, then it is likely a valid judicial warrant. Okay, how do you fight this warrant? You just tell them, fuck off. You don't have the right to get into my house. That's it. Except these fucking dipshits didn't even do that. They busted through the door, which was illegal. They don't have the right to do this. They can't do this. This is unconstitutional. Now, before people go, oh, laws. If we're getting to a point where a permission slip from the fatter guy in the car is enough for you to do this, then there might not be any rules at all at that point. Whoever is the fattest guy in the gaggle gets to sign off on whether you can break people's doors. Like, what are we doing? Genuinely, at that point, when we're already inside, will it stop them? They have guns pointed at them and there's like 20 of them. What should anyone do in that situation? I mean, in this situation, you can't do anything. That's my point. You have to just hope that their law actually kicks in at some point. Ask yourself, if ICE is going door to door, what's next? Armed federal agents took a man away in handcuffs. A woman came out of the house and said the man was her husband. It also appears ICE used an administrative warrant, not a judicial warrant. That matters. An administrative warrant is signed by ICE, not a judge. Without a signed judicial warrant, agents do not have the right to enter your home. It's true. Anyone who thinks this is appropriate and good and just, and that person in there could be the biggest criminal of all time, and it doesn't matter. You have to abide by the laws that were created, okay? It doesn't matter. The reason why you have to abide by that standard is the same reason as to why we defend due process, okay? Because if we decide this is appropriate, no matter how severe the crime is, and there's no indication that this person was a severe criminal anyway, but it doesn't matter, even if they were, even if that was fucking Adolf Hitler in that goddamn house, okay? You have to abide by the rules that were set, because the next time they do this is not going to be Adolf Hitler. It's going to be you. It's going to be your parents. It's going to be your loved ones, and there will be no one that will defend you. Do you understand? That's the reason why we defend due process. That's the reason why we defend certain aspects of the Constitution around these fucking parts, including the Fourth Amendment, okay? No unlawful search and seizure. There is a reason for it, because an administration that seeks to violate the Constitution in this egregious manner that will not be checked by the courts, that will not be held accountable by the criminal justice system at any point, will inevitably do this to you as well. That's it. And without those fundamental aspects that have been around since the fucking Magna Carta, there is nothing that remains that will protect you. At that point, it is truly might is right. And unless you have so much fucking money that you can hire your own private military contractors to defend your home at any given point, you're fucked. And even if you do have that kind of money, do you want to live in a society like that at all, where it's just complete fucking chaos? It's an anarcho-capitalist dystopia. Do you really want to live in that society? I know that people like Elon Musk live in that reality anyway. They know that they're unaccountable. They know that no one will ever fucking hold them accountable. They know that they can get away with doing whatever the fuck they want to get away with. But if you're a random guy working at fucking Jiffy Lube, okay, what makes you think that anarcho-capitalist dystopia is actually going to be beneficial when this current liberalized system that is failing right now is not helping you? You're still a fucking wage slave. So what makes you think you will be a god in the next iteration? What makes you think that you'll be anything but a slave in even worse conditions? People do not have the capacity to understand this, where they go, oh, just comply or die, comply or die. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, you're describing Rust, but with people who have massive head starts. Oh no, exactly. You keep acting like laws matter anymore. There's no one that will prosecute this shit. There's speedrunning fascism. The reason why I'm talking about the importance of law in this situation is because I can't believe you would mute me for simply challenging you on a certain point. I thought the channel was different because you allowed disagreement. You know what? If you want me to agree with everything you say, just say it, Hassan. I know I'm not right-wing, at least not completely. Take another hour off. Stupid. Every day. Ugh. DHS was forced to respond to this because they're growing more callous. This was literally a U.S. citizen. Border Patrol attacked the U.S. citizen teenager, beat him up, drove him away, and then dumped him.
I'm not doing all right.
What's that?
I'm not doing all right. I'm not doing all right. Back up. Yo. See that? Look, they're recording. They're here. What y'all doing? Go back up.
Greg Bovine Bovino in the streets.
Absolutely. Oh, back up. I'm walking here. Back up.
Bro, if our governments, our local governments, and our state governments can't protect us against this kind of like federal action, it's going to be complete chaos. Okay? I urge even the likes of Mayor Frey or Tim Walz to wake the fuck up. Okay? Deploy the National Guard to protect the citizens. Order local law enforcement to protect Minnesotans. Okay? Because if you don't do that and people realize that even local law enforcement and state and the state and the government is not on their side, it's bedlam from that point on. People are going to start taking matters into their own hands in an act of self-defense. This is where we are barreling towards. Okay? What the fuck? Would it be better to wait strategically until after we win the midterms? What midterms, man? What fucking midterms? What are you talking about? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you? I'm here to learn. Okay, brother. They're doming people on the fucking streets. They're busting through their doors. It's Gestapo time, and you're talking about the midterms. There will be no midterms to be had if this keeps going. What do you think happens? They keep doing this over and over again until someone says enough is enough. And then they actually get into an armed conflict, okay? They get into an armed conflict. An ICE agent gets shot in the process, okay? Boom, mass suppression. Like an ICE agent in every fucking corner. Trump tries to federalize the National Guard and deploy it in against the population, okay? Then people grow even more angry. There's more pushback because they realize that the state is not there to protect them. So they treat every member of the state as an enemy, because in some ways they are. Where do you think that goes? Where do you think that goes? More suppression, more repression. There's no more midterms at that point. It's martial law, which is what the administration wants. They want martial law. The American government wants to implement martial law. That's why I keep saying over and over again, they're moving like there's not going to be any elections whatsoever. And I know a lot of people will say, Edinger Mentum and many others have said, well, if that was the case, then they wouldn't be trying to gerrymander, and they wouldn't be trying to engage in like new redistricting initiatives in an effort to at least like make up for the numbers that they're losing in the midterm elections due to their tremendous unpopularity and all this shit. I think both can work at the same time. I genuinely think it's both. They're trying to at least like create some kind of fake democratic process by engaging in these acts of like redistricting over and over again in an effort to be like, well, see, we still have control. But I think that's just hedging their bets. I don't think that is their game plan. I think their game plan is this: keep fucking pressuring. There will be no legal pushback. There will be no like local government pushback whatsoever that will entertain some kind of like constitutional crisis. Okay. Because Democrats always are too fearful to actively defend their own constituents. And eventually, people recognize that reality. People recognize that there is no more defense. There is no local government that's coming to save you. And they take matters into their own hands. And in that process, when people take matters in their own hands, there's bedlam, there's chaos, there's violence. And there's even more violence in an effort to suppress said chaos and the violence for people who are engaging in an oftentimes legal act of self-defense. That is where we are headed. That is where we are headed down. That is the direction we're headed down. This guy said there's no way we wait for the ballot box. We need to go to the bullet box. The people are done.
And murdering people for trying to flee and for obeying a command to leave the area, and then shooting her in the face like that after she drops her kid off at school. We have to show up with guns. We have to. There's no other way around it. I don't care if I don't have a Minnesota carry permit. I'm unarmed right now, but this is the last time I show up to face these guys without a weapon. There's no way. I got shot with a pepper ball 5 minutes after walking in here. I never laid a finger on them. I never raised a hand to them. I've only been using my voice. The time for speaking is over. The time for niceties is over. The time for peace is over. They fired the first shot. It is time to end this shit by any means necessary.
Under different circumstances, I would say this guy's a fucking Fed or something. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think this guy's a fucking Fed. I think a lot of people are unimaginably fed up. It's gotten to a point. And for many of you that haven't experienced this kind of thing, right? You can't imagine what it feels like when you have, when as an American citizen, your whole life you have been taught that this is a nation of laws. Okay. There's rules in play that actually are supposed to keep these kinds of repressive forces at bay. Okay. There are rules that are supposed to stop the government from behaving like this. And it turns out those rules only matter if both parties in the duopoly that we have are playing by said rules. And if one party decides, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it, I have unchecked power, okay? I can do whatever the fuck I want, and the other party just fucking keels over and says, go ahead, there's nothing we can do about it, then people inevitably come to terms with this new reality. The reality that is very different than what they've learned about American existence, okay? And I think that's where a lot of people are right now, especially a lot of people who experience this kind of violence, experience this kind of suppression. People that actually see it in their fucking neighborhoods eventually say, I'm fed up. It's fucking bullshit. Philly police brutalized a minor on camera. The community called a modern Black Panther group led by Paul Birdsong, inspired by the original party to demand accountability when systems fail, communities organize.
You're talking about, potentially going to a dark place in this country. Do you foresee
We're there. This is the dark place. This is the dark time. We have people being sent to Salvadorian concentration camps. We got other countries being raided for their oil. We're in the dark time. There's no way out of this. There's no voting our way out of this. We can't wait till November. There's no waiting to the ballot box. We need to get to the bullet box. That's the only way. If there was another way, I'd be advocating for it. I've spoken peacefully. I've marched peacefully. I marched without Sharpton. I marched on Washington. I've been peaceful. I've acted peacefully. The time for peace is over. The time for any means necessary is right now.
Yeah, he needs to be arrested and thrown in prison. Tree of Liberty must be refreshed with the blood of patriots and tyrants from time to time, but you're not the patriots here. You're the tyrants. Yeah, you're right. The tyrant in this circumstance is the random guy who's fucking fed up with the unconstitutional Gestapo force busting down people's doors and like murdering them at certain points. That's you know, famously throughout history, those guys have been the real patriots. You know, the SS, the real patriots, and not the people who are resisting against the SS. Those were the tyrants. Yeah, the real tyrants were the Jewish people that were thrown in concentration camps, the socialists, the communists, the trade unionists. Those were the real tyrants. And the real patriots were the fucking Nazis. Is that the argument you're presenting here? Holy fuck. Anyway, let's watch Greg Bovine Bovino pull off this fucking nonsensical bullshit again.
Good show.
Man, that's what a nice guy. I don't fuck. Dude.
What is this?
Fuck you and fuck all y'all. What you gonna do? Hey, you guys American citizens?
Fuck you. Huh? None of your business. That's what.
Fuck you.
All right. See that? Blocking traffic. Blocking traffic. Look at that. Bunch of y'all right there.
Fuck you.
Fuck every single one of y'all. Look at that.
Just gonna get a pic. Hold on.
Why are they taking pictures? To put it through the database. So a lot of it is so here's one of the things that they're doing. So they're working with Palantir, right? So they already have like AI facial scanners, which are not, you know, exactly super useful, but I think like as long as you change the standards of you know what decides someone is definitely the person, as long as you can like tweak the algorithm, you can use that as a justification for detainment. Okay, that's the goal here. They're using facial recognition software to see if the person that they're apprehending or the person that they're encountering is apprehendable. And because it's AI, it's not supposed to work. It's not like a direct, 100% success rate. It's just supposed to give you probable cause. So they are starting to use this as a probable cause to say, oh, you're going to be detained. Okay, sorry. This is a, 67% facial recognition match in our database for a criminal migrant. We had to beat the fuck out of you, and we had to detain you in the process. Because that's what's going on here.
Go ahead, take a pic right there.
All right, let me get one of this guy here. Fuck you. Huh? Fuck you. Come on, fuck you. Don't touch me. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Hey, don't touch him. Don't touch him. What are you doing? Come on. Yo. Yeah, he works. Look at that.
Yeah, he's got like the fucking Target shit on him too.
Or what? Fuck you.
Look at that. Look, they're grabbing him. Look, they're grabbing him. Yo, let him go.
Border Patrol attacked the U.S. citizen teenager, beat him up, drove him away, and then dumped him. Why do they not care about getting caught in their lies? If he was arrested for assaulting law enforcement, why was he released and found battered in a Walmart parking lot?
This guy right here, they let him out of the vehicle. They tortured him. This guy right here, yeah.
You okay, man? No, I'm not okay. Shit's crazy. My man's bleeding. They slammed me on the ground.
I can't say what must be done here, but you can't stop me from thinking it. It's a fucking teenager, dude.
We gotta be able to call somebody. This is ridiculous.
Bro, this is straight up fucking Israel, dude. This is straight up fucking Israel. Wake up. For people who like think this is just like, oh, this only happens in foreign countries or whatever. This is happening right now. Wake the fuck up. And anyone that thinks, oh, this is only happening to like, teenagers giving lip who are black or brown or whatever. If you don't think that this is going to come for you, you're a fucking moron. You do not even have the self-preservation skills of an insect. Oh my God.
You got family around? You got somebody here, man? Come on, we in here. Come on, man. You work here, don't you? No, I work at Target. You work, bro? Come on, bro. It's okay. That is so crazy. Man, slam this man up in the parking lot. Torture this guy.
I can't say how I feel right now, but goddamn, I'm thinking it. 1 hour ago, Neon Neck ICE agents detained a U.S. citizen legal observer in Minneapolis, smashing his car window, dragging him out, and placing a knee on his neck. Conduct banned under Minnesota law after George Floyd. It's getting crazier and crazier. It's very obvious to me that the mandate from the Department of Homeland Security, specifically from the federal government, is to just increase the intensity. You can't say what you feel, but Asmund Bitch can say whatever he wants with no ban. Yes, because Asmund Fold, who is utterly irrelevant in this conversation, is demanding more of the state violence. And any kind of fucking counter against said state violence, even an act of self-defense, is technically demanding illegal actions. Whereas state violence, even if it's illegal, is still state violence, and therefore it is interpreted as totally sanctioned and legal violence. This is the dichotomy between right-wingers who demand more of that same state violence and left-wingers who actually want to defend against state violence and illegal actions by the state. This is why right-wingers can get away with saying, oh, the left is so violent. The left is so violent. We are not violent. We're just simply demanding that the state continue doing violent actions. Have a cry. This is it. I mean, what do we think was going to happen? What do we think was going to fucking happen? You got a bunch of deputized fat Gestapo roaming the fucking streets specifically for this purpose. Like, the goal of these guys is to do this, okay? The goal of these guys is to do this. Is to terrorize the population. So they're doing their job. They're just following orders, if you want to call it that. Means to Minnesota. Hold on, I'm tweeting, sorry. Sitting there day after day with this crap isn't going to do anything. When are you going to start organizing and consistently demonstrating every day? I mean, there are people consistently organizing and demonstrating every day, unless you mean like just me, right? Because as a part of my job, I'm showing you that there are people that are all around the country currently demonstrating, including here. This is what's happening at a demonstration, chatter. If Obama was doing this, the red state governors would call the National Guard and start fighting back. It's time to stop fucking around. The National Guard needs to do his fucking job. I agree. I think what is this? I think that if states and local governments don't actually defend their citizens, you're a bad person. You think I know how to live. Screw you. I would expect that this would be a moment of unity, I think, but I guess you somehow think you're magically above this kind of state repression, right? Is that what it is? In your mind, do you feel like this won't happen to you or a loved one? Or are you a member of ICE? Because either you're deluded, you're delusional, and you think that this won't happen to someone that you know, someone that you love, or yourself, or you think you're just going to join ICE at some point, I guess, and be a part of the fucking cruelty. Because it's getting to a point where you're either wearing the boot or you're under the boot. It seems like you're throating it like you're not ever going to find yourself underneath it. I think the lines have been drawn in the sand. People watch one video and see two different things. That's how wars start. I mean, that's part of it. But, I mean, if they universalize the pain, enough, I don't think they'll have a robust popular mobilization to justify this kind of thing. And everywhere that they go, they will experience, people pushing back. That's why I say there's more of us than there are of them, and this can't go on. Anyway, here's another example of like community defense.
Oh my God, Philadelphia crime code 6108 says I can hold my long arm in my hand. Just can't hit my finger on the trigger, which is not. So don't ask me to do nothing that's against the law. Can I help you? I'm out here minding my business.
ICER.com to find your local rapid response number. Call and report if you see ICE chat. Get trained and respond and defend your neighbors. Yes.
Part of that, it was y'all. It was y'all. If you don't like to be labeled in with the slave catchers, you shouldn't have touched their home, sellout. You are a sellout. You wearing their shit. You are a sellout. You ain't protecting shit. You got to do whatever they tell you to, including hurt your people. Because you're walking up to me and I don't like you and I don't trust you and I don't got no conversation with you. So unless you're investigating the crime, leave me the fuck alone.
Oh, when I'm here,
I don't care. I got a gun license right here. This is legal. Philadelphia Crime Code 6108. Move your car out of people's way and get the fuck out of my face. Thank you, officer.
Have a good day.
You have a bad one. Sell out. You smiling for? Sell out. Do you know where you came from? Slave catchers hired you to help catch their property, which was us. Go where you're needed. We don't need your help. Get out the fucking street. Get out the fucking street. Get out the fucking street. Go with him. Go with him. Get out the fucking street.
America is such an insane country, but I mean, I guess this is what you get, you know? This is the well-trained militia, I guess, you know? That's the Second Amendment for you. I don't know what to tell you. It's ironic because this lawful demonstration by the new iteration of the Black Panthers is precisely the reason why open carry was banned in the state that I currently live in, the state of California, by Ronald Reagan. That's right. Ronald Reagan banned open carry in the state of California when the Black Panthers organized and did a demonstration at the Capitol with their guns, which they legally acquired and were legally carrying openly. So they made it illegal. One of the few instances where, you know, a Republican was against the Second Amendment.
Get out the fucking street. Get the fuck out the street.
Anyway, I can't believe it, dude. Unbelievable. Deploying the National Guard would mean civil war now? Okay. I need to explain something to people, okay? The state always maintains the standard of violence, okay? Whether it be Israel against the Palestinians or whether it be the American government against the American people, okay? And those who make peaceful rebellion impossible make violent retribution or violent revolution inevitable, okay? When you shut off people's capacity to push back, when you make them believe that the state will never be on their side, when you make them recognize that the state is not on their side at all, eventually something's going to give. Okay? So yes, deploying the National Guard in this situation, and I don't even know how that this would work, but deploying the National Guard in this situation to protect civilians, the citizens of the state, would create potentially a constitutional crisis if the federal government at that point doesn't back away. But if the federal government at that point backs away, then this gives more confidence to other blue states, because it's very clear that Trump is just weaponizing federal law enforcement against blue states. That's it. Against minority groups that he wants to put in the crosshairs because he doesn't want people talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Only 0.6% of the Epstein documents that were supposed to be released in its entirety a month ago have been released thus far. 0.6%. Okay? So it worked. Trump immediately started talking about Somalians. They're animals. They're parasitic. We got to fucking crack the whip. All this shit. And then sent the goddamn Department of Homeland Security after that Nick Shitley video to Minneapolis. And then one of those psychopathic Gestapo agents ended up killing an American woman, age 37, Renee Good. And now it's fucking bedlam. But guess what? Ain't nobody's talking about the Epstein files no more. No one is talking about the pedophilic elite any longer and Trump's, personal involvement with the pedophilic elite. That's where we're at. Your daily reminder that the Trump administration was required by veto-proof law. It signed to release all the Epstein files last month. And so far, it has released just 0.6% of those files. Yep. They've successfully moved this out of the fucking conversation. That's how disposable the average American citizen is, by the way. Like, I wouldn't say this about, kidnapping Maduro, but I will say this about deploying the Department of Homeland Security and ICE to a random city. Because some of these actions that he's doing for other reasons, for a grander design, right? You're like American priorities shifting, the Donroe Doctrine, all this stuff is a goal of the administration in and of itself. It's not everything that the administration does is a distraction, but this 100% is. It's a distraction that has a higher purpose to bring about martial law potentially. Okay. And the only way to push back against this is if state governments and local governments realize what the fuck is going on and take the measures necessary to defend their citizens, to defend and protect their citizens. If that does not happen, eventually people are going to take matters in their own hands. And when that happens and an ICE agent gets shot or something, okay, then they're going to use that as an opportunity to bring about martial law, tremendous discontent that needs to be suppressed violently, militarily. So the National Guard will be deployed at some point. So it's up to Tim Walz to figure out whether he gets to deploy the National Guard to defend his own citizens, or if it's the fucking president that federalizes the National Guard and deploys it in Tim Walz's stead. Okay? So the National Guard is getting deployed. Who gets to deploy it for what purpose is the real question here.
Protesters banged drums and blew whistles. Some were met with chemical spray. More than 2,000 immigration arrests have been made since the Department of Homeland Security began.
Like they're fucking macing old people, dude.
And its operation in December.
Old white people.
These latest raids come in the wake of the fatal shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis by an ICE officer last Wednesday. Many residents are anxious about the situation. Public schools in their area are offering remote learning.
I'm a teacher, and I think that the fact that ICE has been targeting schools around here, making it difficult for children to just like get a public education, terrorizing parents, the fact that I have to worry about my kids being outside because of this sort of terrorism happening out front is ridiculous.
Minnesota is the latest focus of Donald Trump's campaign to remove undocumented migrants from the U.S. The state has a large population with Somali heritage, although the majority are U.S.-born and more than 92% are citizens. On Sunday, Homeland Security Secretary Kirsty Noem pledged.
The reason why they're bringing up the 90% are citizens number is because it renders the entire deployment argument ridiculous, right? Like you're talking about targeting Somalis and 90% of them are American citizens. Like you're targeting them on immigration grounds and they're all fucking citizens. What are you talking about? What immigration grounds do you have at that point? That's the reason why it's important to bring that up, especially because a lot of people don't realize that Somali Americans are Somali Americans. They think they're just undocumented migrants or migrants in general.
To send hundreds more agents to the area.
He's a citizen! He's a citizen! He's a citizen! Stop!
While I was on the ground, I was in shock. I just knew I was getting handcuffed. It was all happening very fast. I'm like,
I just don't get, like, I truly don't understand how people can't comprehend what's happening in front of their own fucking eyes. Like do you have friends that look at this shit, chat, and go, it is what it is? Like, I don't know. How do we sleepwalk through this process? Really? Like, are we just not looking at the same shit? Like, do you not see that these images are identical to what took place less than 100 years ago? How can you look at this and engage in denial? What will it take for you to recognize what the fuck is up? What will it take for you to realize, like, this is some Nazi shit? This is straight up Nazi shit. Like, I don't know. Because I'm seeing a lot of people on the streets, but they're mostly older people. It's mostly like older, elderly white people, right? Like, there's not a lot of young people out there in the streets. There's not a lot of organizing. There's not a lot of youth organizing in general around this sort of thing. And at least historically speaking, in moments of discontent such as this one, in moments of disarray such as this one, youth has always been the vanguard. And in America, the youth is nowhere to be seen. And I guess like part of it is because they're afraid. Part of it is because they don't realize it. Part of it is because they're just like too busy with their day-to-day, right? With their jobs, trying to fucking make rent. But I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe they're all just watching Aiden Ross and Asmongold and XQC and don't realize that this is just like an unsustainable situation. It's like totally fucked. We're too jaded, man. I can't even fucking hate too much because, I mean, when people were stuck at home during COVID because of the lockdowns and there was a lot of anger that was brewing, and in the aftermath of the George Floyd assassination only a couple blocks away from where Renee Good was shot and killed, a lot of people did take to the streets, and they did everything right. They did everything by the book. They protested. They showed their discontent. They then turned around, plugged their noses, and voted for Joe Biden, because that was the only guy that could beat Donald Trump, they said, right? So they went and they voted, and Joe Biden won. And what came? What came after that? Nothing. None of the demands were met. Nothing actually changed at all. Okay? So they were taught a very important lesson. And that lesson was, no matter what you say and do, all of your work amounts to nothing. You will never be able to stand up against the much more powerful, domineering forces of empire. And there's no pressure valve out of this duopoly. So either you become increasingly more radicalized and get more frustrated, decide to organize, as many of you in this community have, or you just choose not to recognize it anymore because you say, well, neither party represents my interests. I guess it doesn't fucking matter. Right? I guess it does not fucking matter.
How did I get here?
How do you think that the youth have been taking the beating here for Palestine? How much more can the youth do? We're at general strikes and possibly possible militants, you know? I mean, look, I know that. I mean, my community is all up and down this shit too, just like they were all over the student encampments as well. I'm just saying, like there needs to be more mobilizing.
How did documenting their activity lead to this?
In early November, Border Patrol agents moved into Charlotte, North Carolina. The deployment was part of a broader federal enforcement effort spreading across the country from Los Angeles to Chicago and now Minneapolis. Cell phone footage has emerged from each city, showing agents detaining immigrants and protesters. The people filming the federal agents call themselves ICE verifiers. These verifiers have since become a focal point in the Trump administration's response to the fatal shooting of Minneapolis resident.
Yeah, Brooklyn Dad Defiant did the whole Obama shit. God, some liberals are lost in the goddamn sauce too. They just like fantasize about a world that is totally different. Brooklyn Dad Defiant tweeted, "I'm old enough to remember when President Obama deported so many people they called him deporter-in-chief, but he did it without his agents shooting U.S. citizen mothers in the face 3 times." Brother, is the problem from where you're standing the fact that like mass deportations are taking place, but you don't like the way they're taking place? Or is the problem mass deportations as opposed to mass amnesty? This is a crisis of lack. This is a crisis born out of a lack of hope, a lack of knowledge over alternatives, okay? In some ways, I do bring this back to the Democrats all the goddamn time for this reason, because the Democrats do not present an alternative. So these guys who are regime pilled, who are just party pilled, they're just party mouthpieces, just go along with whatever the party is presented as like the appropriate measure here. If the Democrats are saying, no, you don't understand. The real problem with this is not like, mass deportations. The real problem is like the way they're conducting the mass deportations. If the Democrats loudly, proudly, boldly pushing mass amnesty, recognition of humanity for migrants, explaining the processes in which the 2-tier labor system actually undermines the domestic labor pool and obviously treats the undocumented labor pool as cattle, and seeking to address that dynamic, not through the violent apprehensions and deportation and kidnapping operations, but instead through processing their paperwork, recognizing decency, our shared humanity, and following basic international humanitarian laws, then these guys will be saying that too. This is what I always repeat to people. Like, there's no fucking Joe Biden dick riders. There's no Kamala Harris dick riders. There's party dick riders. So when the party presents these people as the only alternative, they just respond in kind. They think, yeah, these were the only alternatives and you didn't fucking vote for them. Fuck you. You're my enemy too now. But if the party was presenting Bernie Sanders as the only alternative against Donald Trump, for example, these people would be the #1 Bernie dick riders on the planet. They don't have any ideological convictions. They're just responding to what the Democrats are showing is their worldview, is their politics, their ideology. Same goes for the Republicans too, honestly. I think there's a good deal of Republicans that would love Donald Trump even more if Donald Trump magically overnight turned into a fucking pro-healthcare guy. Okay? They're just regime enjoyers. That's it. They like it. Democrats like the regime, and so do the Republicans. It's not about the policies that they're presenting. Yeah, the ACLU sued Obama twice in 2018. The Border Patrol was monstrous under Obama. Imagine how not a 2018 article, but under the Obama administration, the ACLU sued the Obama administration twice. People do not actually factor in prior administrations. They get lost in the aesthetics of the Obama administration. He's charismatic. He's handsome. He abided by civility standards. Unlike Donald Trump, he wasn't rude. He wasn't crass. And they punished him endlessly for being black. And there's some truth to that for sure, right? There was a lot of hatred and animosity directed at Barack Obama because he was black. I mean, he is black. Sorry. I don't know why I'm saying was like he's no longer black or alive or something, right? But having said that, it's obvious that he also expanded the existing permission structure when he was president. And a lot of liberals don't recognize that. And a lot of Republicans don't understand why we criticize Barack Obama. They will come to us and say, oh, you don't care when Obama did it. It's like, no, bitch, I did care. I was there. I was fucking criticizing it. I was complaining. I was trying to get people to mobilize against Barack Obama too. Not that it matters. It's not like the consistency here is relevant to the conversation. No one gives a fuck about consistency. They actually punish you for being consistent endlessly. They call you a fucking socialist, communist tanky that's an ever-present danger to American democracy when you have a consistent position on this shit. When you say, hey, it's actually utterly ridiculous, inhumane, and inappropriate no matter which administration is engaging in these sorts of actions. Ugh. Breaking. ICE agents in Minneapolis are seen arresting another teenager without verifying his identity first and admit to it on camera. In the video, the teenager calmly tells agents he can go inside and get his ID to prove who he is. The agents refuse. Instead, they say, we'll take pictures of headquarters and then force him into their SUV anyway. This is deeply alarming. Law enforcement is not allowed to detain people first and figure out who they are later without lawful justification. Yeah, guess what? ICE agents are not allowed to do that at all. Like, even cops are not allowed to do that, and cops at least have like more liberties in terms of like violating your liberties. ICE doesn't even, you're just kidnapping a child at that point.
No voy a entrar a tu casa. Okay, you can leave me too. I will go, pero fácilmente no vas a regresar. Exactly.
They're Nazis kidnapping children. Oh, God. Nick Sorter hits a female. She was seen blocking him from filming her friend with a plastic shield. Sorter then knocks her to the ground, blocks her from retrieving it, and then things escalate in flashbangs. Pepper balls are deployed. Nick Sorter and Cam Higbee have escalated every situation they've entered into, whether it be Portland, Chicago, DC, and now Minneapolis. It's one of those pig fuck Nazis, by the way, Nick Sorter. And Cam Higbee is the one in the background, I think, with the face shield. He's the one who's the PragerU correspondent that went to Israel.
Hey, they love
They're
hitting
all
women.
Nazi agitators, all
They
of them.
love hitting women. Look at that. That's what these. Oh, there he hits her again. You just hit her again, brother. Go.
God, that fucking Nick Sorter. God, dude, that fucking Nick Sorter is a fucking. He causes all that, dude. You guys can see that, dude. As soon as Nick Sorter gets into a fucking argument, they tear gas and flashbang everybody. That Nick Sorter and fucking Cam. I'm so fucking sick of it. Both of them, bro. Hey, it was fucking Sorter again. They're antagonizing people, and then they come out and fucking do all this shit, bro. It's Nick Sorter and Cam Higbee. Hey, Nick Sorter hit a girl in the face. I heard this. Yeah, bro. I don't fall fuck yet.
Renee Good earlier this week. Republicans have said that people following and monitoring ICE are impeding immigration-related arrests and endangering officers and civilians.
How do you understand the ICE resistance? This is a cult-like, this is a cult. This is cult behavior.
That woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job.
She was a agitator, probably a paid agitator, but in my opinion, she was an agitator.
Should we send people to Gastonia, yes or no?
This community defense work has been something Decembra has done since 2017, which is how it got started. These are all volunteers who have been trained on how to verify whether an activity is actually ICE or Border Patrol.
Do we know who that is up there? Okay, let's figure that out. We're trying to anticipate where they are. We're looking for them.
What's going on? What are you doing?
Someone's honking and screaming, La Migra, ICE, Border Patrol.
They're impeding our investigation. So
When somebody goes up to them and is like, hey, what are you doing? They also aren't used to that. They're breaking the law left and right. So the more that you can get them to talk about that, at least in my opinion, the better that is.
Verifiers say documenting these encounters serves two purposes: alerting the community and preserving evidence. They say video from these interactions can later be used in court.
We are going to what we believe is one of the staging areas for CBP and ICE. Our hope is to, just verify and have confirmed reports from the community about what they're doing, when they're moving, how many cars they have, what they're driving. This is it, but they are not here. There are no cars here. This kind of makes me worry that we don't know where they are.
By the end of the week, the Department of Homeland Security had carried out more than 300 detentions across the Charlotte area.
Oh, you guys want to know something crazy, by the way? That is a surprise to absolutely no one, probably. These last couple of months, with all of the ICE apprehensions that have taken place, they've gotten, I think, 0 criminals. 0. Slicer Dicer, buy one, get one free, says, this chat is R-worded, ha 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 ha. Everything I expected it to be. All right, we're going to unban that guy. I would love to hear from this wonderful individual who's very smart. Like, they're not even, look, they have rarely ever targeted criminals in their apprehensions anyway. It makes up a tiny margin of the people that are actually in these detention facilities. But as of late, it's gotten even fucking less. Like, the percentage is almost, I think it's either 0 or almost 0. Aaron Reichlin Melnick posted about it recently because they do like these apprehension and processing numbers. How did Slicer Dicer get banned already? Oh, because you guys kept banning him after I unbanned him, as you can see right here. I want to, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. What is this? Here are the mugshots. Here are the mugshots of the men, women, and ICE arrested in Minneapolis before, during, and after the Renee Nicole Good shooting. These criminals have already been convicted. Mayor Frey wants these people to stay in the city. Their crimes include forcible sodomy of a young boy, young girl, rape of a teenage girl with a gun, trafficking. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? If these, first of all, I don't believe anything that I see on Twitter. Having said that, however, if these guys have already done crimes, they are already in the fucking system. What are you talking about? These guys don't just like get released, okay? You don't fucking get released if you sodomize a young boy and a young girl. What planet are you living on? This is so fucking stupid. These people are so dumb. These people are so fucking dumb, dude. They have, oh my God. I don't even know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do. I saw a fucking tweet the other day that was like, yeah, unless you're Jeffrey Epstein or one of his fucking friends, you're not like, they personally think, these guys are so stupid that they think that in the past, a criminal, like a migrant, an undocumented migrant, would go up and like rape a child or something, and then they would get processed through the system. They would get caught, apprehended, detained, charged, convicted. But at some point along that process, the government would go, oh my God, this is an undocumented migrant. We have to release him. If you think that was what was going on, you are genuinely too stupid to reason with. I do not know how we can have a normal back and forth conversation because you're not living on the same fucking planet. You're not living on the same planet as us. Okay, you're not living in reality. You're out of your mind. There is no world where like any local law enforcement or federal law enforcement or any law enforcement at all or any courts at all will look to an undocumented migrant that has done a heinous crime and go, oh, dude, you're an undocumented migrant. Well, that's like, that means we can't prosecute you. You're a fucking idiot. Only people that rape young boys and girls that get away with it are the super wealthy. Okay, that's it. As a matter of fact, the only people who even get away with like violating immigration rules while also doing a metric ton of heinous shit are, again, the super wealthy, including the wealthiest person on the planet, Elon fucking Musk, who at a certain point in his life was also in violation of American rules around immigration in the country illegally when he dropped out of fucking school. But of course, because he's Elon Musk, nobody cares. I'm trying to see. Oh, I'm trying to find the Aaron Reichlin Melnick post here about the numbers that we do have on hand about the migrants that are being processed through the detention facilities right now and their criminal background. Crack that DP open for me, big fella. You want this? Do you want me to crack this open, this bad boy? A little Dr. Pepper Blackberry Zero Sugar. Aging the juicy delights. There you go. DP time, baby. Dude, you know what's crazy? Someone in the chat said, someone in the chat brought up Agartha as a meme, and ever since then, no, has been stuck in my fucking brain permanently, okay? I'm perma-fried. Thank you. New data released by ICE shows that virtually the entire growth of detention in the last few months has been among people with no criminal record at all, no criminal convictions, and no pending criminal charges. 92% of ICE detention growth in the fiscal year 2026 is driven by immigrants with no criminal convictions. ICE published new detention data today that brings the current population to a record high 68,990. ICE published new detention data today. ICE records first detention death of 2026. ICE records first detention death of 2026. But of course, even though Donald Trump initially said all undocumented migrants are doing like rapes and doing drug deals and doing crimes, like unlimited crimes, now the goalpost shifts. When you look at this and you say, these guys don't even have any prior convictions, like the largest growth has been no criminal record, migrants with no criminal record whatsoever, they turn around and say, well, who's this? Oh, is this JD Vance? Nice. And they turn around and say, oh, well, they're undocumented migrants. That's a crime. Yeah, so is jaywalking, dumbass. Okay? It's a civil offense. It's a misdemeanor. Who gives a fuck? Peter Thiel, I believe. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's finish this.
Most were not recorded.
And then I want to watch the Kirsty Noem thing. And then I might even actually watch the new Nick Shitley video, because or at least pieces of it.
Documenting Border Patrol activity on Charlotte's east side when he noticed he was being followed after photographing a Border Patrol vehicle and its license plate.
Charlotte 911, do you need police, fire, or medic?
Police. There's two Wagoneers, and they've got their sirens on, and they're Border Patrol. They're not police, and they're trying to pull me over right now, and they've been driving recklessly.
Long was forcibly removed from his car and handcuffed on the ground. He was cited for impeding a federal investigation. He was one of at least 8 verifiers arrested during the week-long operation.
There's like 50 cars here. I'm walking up on foot. They're going out!
To me, this feels like a bully has come into town and they're picking on the little guys.
It's crazy to me to cheer on a fucking militarized Heil Hitler brigade dominating the fucking masses, okay, over literally just like paperwork. Okay, it's just paperwork. Like the people that they're engaging in dragnets and like pulling aside from their families and kidnapping are in violation of a paperwork crime, okay? And the lowest version of a paperwork crime. Like I'm not even talking about like, you know, mass fraud or tax evasion or any number of different things that could have like serious repercussions down the line. That's it. It's fucking crazy. Wake up.
And honestly, they're targeting people because of their skin color.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
I don't regret doing what I did. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Hope you have a terrible day.
Is a felony. You should start saying misdemeanor. What? Crime is a felony. You should start saying misdemeanor. I'm confused as to what that means.
To go terrorize our communities.
Almost taken by ICE, two men who say they have legal papers to be in the U.S. said they were.
It's a civil offense. It's a civil offense. That chatter is right. It's not a felony. Lake County landscapers say they were almost taken by ICE despite having documentation.
By federal agents, all while on a landscaping job in Downey today.
In a story you'll only see on CBS LA, they tell our Hunter Sowards they feared for their lives, Hunter.
Yeah, that's right, Leslie. Federal officers had what appeared to be a paintball gun and some kind of bear spray painted at not only those two men, pointed rather, but also at the bystanders who were recording this. Now, while this operation ended with nobody being taken into custody, the family of those two men targeted say they are just so thankful this was all recorded.
I hear it, Downey.
It's a chaotic scene playing out on streets across the country.
Take your mask off.
This situation unfolding in Downey. Two gardeners approached.
Hey, Hassan, can you crank up the woke factor by 2? Thanks, King. It's already cranked. It's already cranked. Thank God for Connor Eats Pants carrying the fucking torch, by the way, pretty aggressively. But when you got people like Cutie Cinderella promoting Connor Eats Pants and saying like, oh, Connor Eats Pants should run for president or whatever, and he's getting mass celebrations, the woke factor is already leveled up. Okay? He's carrying the flame. He's fighting for the gospel. He's honoring the name. But 100%. Like it's already here. Was Connor always woke like this? Yes, dude. What do you mean? Yes, of course he's always been woke like this. Thank fucking Christ, dude. The environment of fear and silence in this corner of the fucking internet was created by a shit ton of overwhelming force and scrutiny and mass harassment initiatives. But now people feel protected because they see how wrong this is, and they also feel protected in the crowd. They have numbers, and luckily there's other people also pushing back, and eventually the dam will break.
By agents who they say did not identify themselves and tried forcing them in their car, grabbing.
Fantano's been pushing back. No, Fantano is like me. He's been there nonstop. And Connor has been there. Connor has been there throughout this process too. I'm just saying that like the other like normie content creators that don't get involved in politics are now speaking out. That's why I said the attitude shift is here.
Uriel Diaz so hard they ripped his shirt.
They showed up looking like they were ready to kill us. I asked if they were real ICE agents.
Jose Solorio says he repeatedly tried explaining they are both legal citizens, showing us the cards he was trying to give authorities.
He was telling us they got there and they tripped him. They didn't say no words. They didn't, say immigration, blah, 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 whatever. They just got there, assaulted him.
Jose's son calling it his worst nightmare. That's when Victor Correa took out his cell phone and started recording.
You're not supposed to get involved, but you can be the best witness that you can possibly be. So you always try to record and stay steady.
At one point, an agent appears.
Morse Critical is dead silent, making videos about anything but the current situation. No, he'll make some. He'll make new ones soon. The ICE situation is crazy. Guys, Trump's really uncrusted my uncrustables. This McFuckstick is actually crazy. It wasn't enough that he, throated Israel and also Jeffrey Epstein, but now he's actually sending the ICE agents down people's doors. Stop caping for him, dude. What? I fucking clocked it and I called it a week before he did the Israel video. It's coming. It's not. I've been nothing but, above board with Charlie. I've always said he is the normie meter for me.
Aim a paintball gun at him and later some kind of spray.
I've grown up here my whole life, 38 years, and this is the saddest day.
Your chat has a hate boner for him? Yeah, I know, because they don't like the way he commented on the Kaya situation. That's the reason. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't care, okay? I don't. I can't. I care more about, like, from my perspective, what I care about is the output of these guys. And as long as their output is, like, reliably moving the needle in the appropriate direction, then that's great. I don't care if they fucking despise me. I don't care that if they personally, and I'm not even saying Charlie does, but I just don't give a shit, okay? Even if someone is right-wing, I don't give a shit. And I don't think Charlie is. Yeah, and we do need to stop behaving as though like anyone that has ever, you know, wronged me, your favorite content creator, is like the great Satan or something, okay? If I can let bygones be bygones, you should be able to as well, especially when you understand that at the end of the day, when they actually when content creators do come out and speak out, it's still good. It's still a good thing.
That I could remember living in the city.
Jose emotional when describing the gratitude he has for the people who came out and tried to help.
So happy I cried because I don't know how I'll ever thank them for helping me from the bottom of their hearts. I'll be forever thankful.
Jose says he's been in the country 40 years. He has a green card and no criminal history. Immigration attorney Alex Galvez says stops like this are legal under a 2025 Supreme Court ruling.
An immigration officer can racially profile. They could use your image, your language, the type of job that you work as reasonable suspicion for ICE to initiate a stop.
Hassan, stop singling me out for no reason and muting me. I'm here for constructive conversation and debate. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep coming back. I'm receiving the online version of ICE treatment. Chad has my back on this. Okay, take another second off. But I do know, I hope you know you're not. Chat does not have your back on this. You're being fucking annoying.
So what happens if you are wrongly detained?
Chances are that...
What the fuck are the celebs doing right now? Where the fuck are they all at? Like, are they going to do it? What are they going to do if Taylor Swift roll up Millie deep on Minneapolis? You think Taylor Swift, you think out of all the celebrities you could have pointed to, you chose Taylor Swift? You think Taylor Swift is going to... Oh my God. Oh my God. That was so crazy. My body is reacting to it. Like, that was such a crazy fucking... What the fuck? Bro. Taylor Swift? Yeah, any day now. Taylor Swift is actually gonna light a Israeli flag on fire too at the ICE protest. She's gonna say this is a dual struggle. She's gonna say that the very same violent forces that are putting the boots on the neck of Palestinians are those who actually train our own domestic forces here that put the same exact boot on the necks of hardworking immigrants. United, we will actually emancipate ourselves. You have nothing to lose but your chains. And then that's her next album. That's what she's going to do. Yeah, she's going to say it's Intifada Revolution. Oh, that's funny. Feds cuff elderly grandfather with valid work permit. Okay, let's watch this because this was a fucking annihilation from Jake Asstapper.
Been criticized for your comments. The shooting, we should note, was Wednesday at 10:37 a.m.
What is
just said something to me that kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that, and I asked if he would repeat it for y'all.
As a combat veteran, I'm having a hard time seeing the difference between ICE and ISIS. ISIS covered their face and publicly executed citizens. ICE is doing the same thing. ICE is operating as a government-sanctioned terrorist organization.
I don't ever really see you get upset. This kind of has me thrown, darling.
Fuck it. We take it. We take those. We take those. We take those. Okay? We take those. Anyone who fucking turns around and goes, oh, what do you think combat veterans are doing in Iraq? They're behaving exactly like ICE, you fucking asshole, or whatever. Shut up. Shh. 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 Just don't say anything. Just let him cook, okay? Shh. I know you immediately want to say, what do you think a combat veteran was doing in Iraq and Afghanistan? They were doing the exact same shit that ICE is doing on our neighborhoods now. All of that violence that you dished out overseas is finally coming to return to your doorstep, and now you realize it, but even then you still think, oh, it's just like ISIS. Yeah, guess what? There's not a lot of differences from the perspective of the Iraqi civilian that gets slain in the hands of ISIS or gets slain in the hands of the American the American invaders that aren't supposed to be there. Shh. Don't say it. Okay? Don't say it.
It should concern us all.
You said it. That dumb fuck needs to hear that. Look, I'm talking directly to you, misanthropic leftist. No, that's not good. Okay? That's not. That's what I'm talking about. Don't do that. Don't do that right now. This is a good opportunity to organize. This is a good opportunity to get people on board. Okay. Be a little bit more strategic. Okay. Be a little bit more strategic. Be a little bit more strategic. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Please. You don't have to be antisocial. You don't have to be antisocial every step of the way. I promise you. I promise you. Especially in the domestic front. Like, it's good. That guy is never going to go back and join the forces anyway. It's like he's 70. Stop scaring the hoes and be a little bit smarter with your organizing. When you have common ground, you don't have to immediately fucking slap that away, okay? Dude, I know that guy. He's 32. What the fuck, man? Shut the fuck up.
a.m. Eastern. Just over 2 hours later, the Department of Homeland Security put out a statement.
Highlight that the Red Army was built out of White Army defectors. I'm not even going to get into that conversation. Yes, but a lot of people who go, every veteran is a bloodthirsty monster that is constantly trying to terrorize the global South, doesn't understand that, yes, regardless of that initial position, when push comes to shove, you're going to need someone who knows how to handle a fucking gun. And I know your bitch ass don't know how to fucking shoot a gun at all, okay? We're not going to get into this conversation right now, okay?
Definitively asserting what had happened, defending the ICE agent, accusing Renee Good of domestic terrorism. That's a characterization that you reiterated in a press conference half an hour later. Now, Republican Senator Tom Tillis said, quote, "It was very unusual to have a senior law enforcement..."
Grant Plattner is going to be our Trotsky, except, you know, he does not have the capacity to write prose in the same way that Trotsky did, regardless of my ideological disagreements with him. He was a fantastic writer. That much is 100% true. And anyone who actually contests, I mean, he wrote a little too much, as a matter of fact, if we're being real. Modern day Trotsky, Grant Plattner. Get ready for the most annoying interview of all time? Yeah, I know. Mike called himself the modern day Trot. Yeah, he would be. He would be counter-revolutionary.
Enforcement official to draw a conclusion about an event where the scene was still being processed. Generally speaking, law enforcement would recognize that a life was lost, that families are changed forever, the shooter's life will change forever. We're collecting video. We're trying to assess the situation. Why did you not wait for an investigation before making your comments?
Well, everything that I've said has been proven to be factual and the truth. This administration wants to operate in transparency. I have the responsibility as the Secretary of Homeland Security to know this information as soon as possible. Had just been in Minneapolis the day before, had already had conversations with officers on the ground and supervisors, and knew the facts, and decided that the department and the people of this country deserve to know the truth of the situation of what had unfolded in Minneapolis.
But with all due respect, Secretary, the first thing...
The puppy murderer, Kristi Noem, that virtually every single person that comes in here to be like, Hassan, where's your dog? Did you kill him? Loves, by the way.
Said was, quote, what happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow. Correct. Because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened.
Oh, I mean, great. Great. That's not what happened at all. You know damn well she killed that puppy in self-defense. True. That's what I've heard as well. I believe this. Everybody knows that puppy and the goat was asking for it. Yeah, what if guess what? What if that puppy ran her over? What if that puppy actually commanded a vehicle and ran her over? She had to shoot it in the head. Yeah, what now, libtards? I guess you got owned.
Those officers had been out in enforcement action. A vehicle had been stuck. They had come to help get that vehicle out. That's when this individual started blocking traffic for minutes and minutes.
You said that the woman attacked them and surrounded them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
Blocked the road for a long time and was yelling at them and impeding a federal law enforcement investigation. And that's what you need to focus on, Jake, is they were breaking the law by impeding and obstructing a law enforcement.
Yeah, you need to focus on my totally made up assessment of the situation rather than what you can see with your own two eyes, which is literally what everyone can see too. Please, why don't you actually abide by my perspective, which is much more favorable to the propaganda that I'm trying to cut right now? Please don't focus on the state-sanctioned murder that took place against a 37-year-old mom with plushie toys in the fucking glove compartment box in her goddamn Honda Pilot. Please stop believing your own two eyes.
They were breaking the law already, and these officers were doing their due diligence and what their training had prepared them to do to make sure they were handling it appropriately.
You said within hours of her being killed, you said that she was a domestic terrorist. How do you define domestic terrorist?
She weaponized her vehicle to conduct an act of violence against a law enforcement officer and the public. How
can you assert with certainty that she was trying to hurt the officer as opposed to she was trying to flee the scene?
If you look at what the definition of domestic terrorism is, it completely fits the situation on the ground. This individual, as you saw in the video that we released just 40...
Like, they really, I'm being honest, I think they really fucked up here. I think this is, and I said this at the day that it happened, I said this is a turning point because it's such a clear cut, it is such a clear cut, obvious, glaringly obvious. It is such a clear-cut, glaringly obvious instance of wrongdoing, the most obvious instance of wrongdoing, especially to a victim that most people can like identify as a member of their own communities because she's a white woman. And I know that Twitter was going crazy over the whole like, oh, well, she's a lesbian and these guys actually hate like it's like the South African apartheid guy who's like, the first bullet we will use is against the race traders. You know, they want to kill white people that actually defend black people first, you know, that kind of attitude. But that's just Twitter fascism. In the real world, okay, the fucking normies, when they see that, they see exactly what we see. They see a 37-year-old mom. Doesn't matter if she's bisexual or lesbian. That doesn't matter at all. They see a 37-year-old white mother with plushies in the glove compartment, assassinated in broad daylight by a fucking dickhead ICE agent who was having an ego trip. Okay? That's what they saw. And sure, the other side's argument goes a long way on the internet, okay? Especially with Elon Musk's Twitter. But I promise you, this shit looks repulsive to the average person. Okay? Repulsive to the average person. And the administration should have, in this circumstance, done what they normally do, what they've done in the past. This is a bad apple. This is an unfortunate mishap. We will make sure that we go through the proper steps, investigate it, and we will let the law decide. But they doubled down. Okay? They fucking doubled down. They released the personal recording where he fucking calls her, where he calls Renee Good a fucking bitch. Renee Good's last words were, "I'm not even mad at you, dude." His words after shooting and killing her was fucking bitch. Like, if you want to understand how this political polarization has warped the consciousness of so many people, they thought this was a defensive video. They released it to a right-wing blog, thinking this would actually absolve the shooter. That's how fucking insane they are. They've lost their damn minds, brother. They're completely psychotic. They don't recognize it at all. If they had said, oh my God, this is so unfortunate, whatever, and did the normal thing that they did, people would still be upset. But there would be far less independents and normies that would be also horrified at the repulsive nature of this administration. It's the same thing that I said after Rob Reiner, and many of you didn't believe me. I said Rob Reiner was an American citizen who made a bunch of awesome movies, and when he was literally murdered by his son in the most gruesome fashion, Trump's response was going to come across as insane and repulsive. And sure, there's always that 20%, not 30, but 20% of the cult that will go, nah, that's right, Rob deserved it. He was libtarded or whatever the fuck. Okay? But most people that are in the margins, saw that and were horrified because they were like, the fuck do you mean? This guy's just like a regular ass dude. Sure, he was liberal, but like, who cares? I watched his movies. I loved it.
8 hours after this incident showed that this officer was hit by her vehicle. She weaponized it, and he defended his life and those colleagues around him and the public.
The question is, I don't doubt, my position is, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Some people say that it clearly showed that she was trying to hit him and did. Some people say, no, she was clearly trying to move her car and flee and get away. I don't know. What I'm saying is, how do you know? How can you assert for a fact within hours, before any investigation, this is what happened?
The facts of the situation are that the vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. It happened in our shores. It happened here in our country. You don't get to change the facts just because you don't like them. We will continue to look at this individual and what her motivations were. We know that there was, throughout that morning, she had harassed and impeded law enforcement operations. That raises the suspicion level with all of these law enforcement officers as far as paying attention to what her capacity is. And as you see on the videos, and they've proven out, that this law enforcement officer took the action that his training prepared him for, and he worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
How can you assert that there's no ambiguity in this before any investigation has taken place?
I had just been in Minneapolis and had been with those officers, had seen what they were facing on the streets every day, and had talked to their supervisors as soon as the incident happened and had gotten the facts and seen videos before I ever went to talk at that press conference.
Kaya status: Kirsty Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, killed Kaya in a lawful act of self-defense.
And the Trump administration and President Trump is the most transparent and open government that we've ever had. Give the public the information, give them what they need to know about a situation.
Kirsty Noem then called her ISIS after dumping her body in a ditch. Yeah. She said Kaya is a domestic terrorist.
Situations so they could have the truth as soon as possible.
So if this agents were perfectly fine, if everything he did was accurate, does that mean that other ICE agents should
He
look
wasn't
at what...
perfectly fine. He was injured. He went to the hospital.
No,
He
his
was
actions were
treated.
fine. I didn't say...
In fact, I think a lot of people and guests, and even you yourself, called this situation something very different and untruthful about what it was, as far as...
What did I say that was untruthful?
That this was not a correct definition of what was happening on the ground. That this
I said that...
My feelings are hurt because of your accurate reporting on the events that every American saw with their own two eyes. Aw, shit, dude. Well, tough titties, I guess. If you can't take the heat, get the fuck out of the kitchen. Fuck you mean? Fuck you mean is hurtful. Another L moment live in live TV. Oh, that's I'm going to get to that. Don't worry. The former spokesperson for former Ocasio-Cortez comms director, Corbin Trent, my fucking goat.
They were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle is not what we see on the videotape, and it's not.
Bro, going hyper woke, telling women to get out of the kitchen? Oh, true. I didn't even realize I was being super woke. Woke too. I was telling her to get out of the kitchen, okay? Not getting back into the kitchen. You're right. You caught me. Okay? Yeah, don't be ableist. Not everyone has two eyes. I'm going to be honest with you. I am being ableist when I talk about Kirsty Noem because she is dumber than dirt, okay? She has nothing going on up there. It is so crazy to me how bad she is at her fucking job. Like, what an insane administration this is, man. Trump is just like, oh, are you, like, do you have a serious intellectual disability? It's fine. As long as you demonstrate absolute fealty to me, we're good. As I like to say, she is a medically stupid person, okay? Needs constant medical supervision 24/7.
Absolutely is the facts of what happened on the ground that day. They were there pushing out a vehicle earlier. They had helped each other.
But that's not what you said. That's not what you said. Yes, they were pushing out a vehicle.
Absolutely what I said. There's not one thing.
We all have seen the video. I don't need to relitigate it. We've all seen the video. She is blocking the street. They approach her.
You haven't seen the video of the entire morning and the previous encounters with this individual.
Oh, we have aired it. Yes, we have. On Thursday, we were airing and noting the fact that she was there for several minutes, for minutes and minutes and minutes. She was
obviously, if she was there for several minutes, then, you know, she deserves to be murdered, guys. I mean, case closed. I'm an apolitical guy who's no nonsense, and common sense is what I believe. Okay, and common sense in this in this moment dictates that anyone that ever dare disobey an ICE agent, no matter how illegal that ICE agent is behaving in, is actually worthy of the death sentence. You know, thank God. True centrism.
Protesting without question.
And at previous locations that morning, that absolutely, that these vehicles had been previously down the block on video that you haven't seen. There's more information
But the
that
question-
this
the question
individual
is
was
not-
impeding law enforcement operations throughout the previous moments and hours before this incident
The question is, what was she doing when she was moving her car?
The question
That's the question.
is why are we arguing with a president who's working to keep people safe? Why are we arguing with law enforcement operations that have gone on in this country for years, and we're working to collect murderers and rapists and drug traffickers and fraudsters off the streets of Minnesota, and we don't have local law enforcement and local elected officials that are partnering with us to help do that work? Overwhelmingly, the people in this country said they wanted America to be safe again, that they didn't want dangerous criminals on our streets. I would encourage the elected leaders in that city and in that state to work with us so that we can do our operations without the kind of opposition and people that are conducting and perpetuating the kind of violent rhetoric that we're seeing today.
DHS policy authorizes use of deadly force only, quote, when no reasonably effective, safe, and feasible alternatives appears to exist. Could he not have just gotten out of the way?
That this individual in the
Once again, if you think that a random migrant, documented or undocumented, is actually a criminal and not a fucking member of ICE that is storming the fucking streets, violating the Constitution, breaking people's doors down, apprehending them with administrative warrants that give them no real legal opportunity to fucking engage in any sort of like search and seizure operation or extraction operation, or even killing people in the fucking streets, you're a goddamn dullard, okay? You are a fucking moron. You are a troglodyte. Who is the real criminal here? Random Guatemalan guy who's a landscaper? Or the fucking random Guatemalan American who's working at ICE who's shooting people in the fucking head? No disrespect to the Guatemalans, but let's be real. A lot of the ICE guys are, 52% of Customs and Border Patrol is Hispanic, okay? I think ICE are the real criminals, okay?
This officer is a highly experienced law enforcement officer. He has years of training and specialized training for these types of situations.
Actually, it's probably higher than that. It used to be 52%. It's probably fucking higher now. Let's be real.
We're grateful that he's alive. It's a tragic situation, and we're going to continue to work on the investigation into the individual and find out what the motivation.
My cousin was Border Patrol. He's darker than me. Yeah, I mean, a literal Papers, Please society. That's where we're heading. I mean, that is where we're at. That's not where we're heading. That's where we're at.
Actions that day.
We're grateful that that he's alive too. I want to play this moment from the officer's cell phone video.
Fucking bitch.
Damn,
Is
they
that
showed...
Agent Ross's voice calling Renee Good a fucking bitch?
Wait, what the fuck? It's not even censored? Wait, what the hell? What the heliante, CNN? Hey, yo, Jake Tapper. Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Can't determine which one it is, but it could be, sir.
In June of last year, Agent Ross had his arm...
Why is Jake Tapper asking real questions? I mean, he did this last time, too. When enough liberals fucking turn on the admin, when it becomes favorable and fashionable to shit on Trump, he will do it. He did it pretty aggressively last time, too. The only difference as to why CNN didn't do it this time around from the start is because they were pivoting to the right as well. And they miscalculated, in my opinion. I think a lot of people, in my opinion, miscalculated. They thought that there was a real popular mandate for Trump because they're fucking stupid. They didn't realize it was an economy election with a decrepit administration run by a carcass, and that people were very frustrated with that shit. And even then, Donald Trump won by marginal votes. He did not win this like Reagan-style sweep at all. But these fucking dumbasses thought that this meant something, that this meant like a true sea change. And what did I say? What did I fucking say? The reason why a lot of young people voted for Trump was because they were too fucking young to remember all the way up until 2020. Okay? They were too young. They also, for some weird reason, decided to claim all of like the COVID lockdowns with Democrats in general. Okay, so the only like restriction of movement that they encountered at the time, even if it was for good reason, whether it be mask mandates or whether it be mass inoculation campaigns or whether it be lockdowns, was seen as like what the Democrats are doing, even though most of that shit happened under Trump, ironically enough. And they only knew Biden as the guy who fucked up the economy, who didn't actually make the necessary changes. And they were dumb enough, especially the youth, were dumb enough to take a shot in the dark with Donald Trump. That's why Donald Trump won the low propensity voters. Okay? But what did I say? The moment that they actually get into the Trump administration and realize none of these changes are coming, and it's only going to be dumb shit like, rooting out the 14 transgender high school athletes or something, and that's the only area of impact that they are going to see. And when that doesn't fucking translate to any real difference in their lives, any material changes that they can experience, they're going to fucking experience buyer's remorse. And that's precisely what has happened. Just like I said, people who think that they wanted mass deportations because they thought every single migrant was a criminal are going to realize that their neighbors are getting deported, and they don't like that. They're going to go, these guys are the good guys. What the fuck is happening? These are the good migrants. Why are they not making this distinction between the good migrants and the bad migrants? And once again, that is what's happening as well. There's buyer's remorse in that regard as well. I told you that this is what was going to happen. Here's you saying the exact same thing on October 24th. This is another glaringly obvious example where people think they want mass deportations and concentration camps, but if it happens, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is actually kind of fucked up. This happens very frequently. Okay? This happens very frequently. Now, that's one aspect of this. Okay? People do not understand the impact of the legislation that they're advocating for. When this is October 24th, 2024, Harris Town Hall, Richie Torres, Ben Shapiro, Jubilee, Ethan Drama, LSF. Look at that. Faced with the actual impact of the legislation that they're advocating. The only difference is I was way more fucking tan. Look at how pasty I am now. Devastating. They go, oh, that's not what's going to happen. Come on. They fantasize about a completely alternative way that this is going to unfold in a way that actually is positive for them. Okay? I don't know if this was the one. Republicans don't know anything about their party. That's very bad for American democracy. Denying people health insurance because of pre-existing conditions is both unconscionably cruel and despised by voters. As a result, Republicans will routinely lie about their position on this issue. The most outrageous instance of this is when former Senator Cory Gardner cut an ad with his mom, a cancer survivor, saying he was fighting to protect those with pre-existing conditions. There are certainly efforts to fact check, but as this result suggests, the effects of these efforts may be limited. Okay? If Republicans were full tilt, and if Republicans were, unimaginably anti-immigrant, then, like, if they were across the board or if they were across the board, like, for certain policies, they would not vote against those policies when it is presented to them in clear-cut, direct ballot measures that they vote for. Okay? You have to understand this. Stealing YouTuber content again. Sometimes I genuinely should just like play my older videos and run it on repeat. Like if I just went full screen right now and talked about this is the exact same commentary that works. It's the exact same commentary. Like I should just do that every now and then. Just run fucking reruns. Why am I wasting my goddamn breath? I'm willing to bet that chat would be also bringing up the same dumbass talking points anyway. Ugh, smells terrible. It is not surprising. Is it not shocking to you that Republicans in deep red states, even in Ohio or Kansas, Kentucky, will vote to restore abortion protections? But they vote for Republicans that end up taking away abortion access from them? I was using abortion as an example to try to get Democrats to recognize that this immigration shit is not something to run away from, is not something to be fearful of, and that the more fearful their approach is to talking about immigration, the more reluctant they are to actually offer counter talking points on immigration, the more the Republicans will dominate discourse. And when they win, they would be able to do all of these like horrifying things in relation to immigration. And then once they actually, what is this? Legal means illegal. They could be the best people, but the law should be enforced. I just don't get the point of enforcing immigration laws. Yeah, great question. These guys are not actually enforcing good immigration laws. You can have good immigration laws and bad immigration laws, right? I think you understand that. Good immigration laws would be the most morally just thing that you can do. I'm an ICE agent and a member of this community, by the way. Shut the fuck up. There is 0% chance that you are literally. I had a personal altercation with Brad Lander. He was still kind to us despite being there to confront us. I would want him to get elected, even though he would make our job much harder. Brother, what could you possibly be getting out of being a part of this community? I genuinely don't understand. Quit your job right now, okay? Quit your fucking job right now. Quit your fucking job right now. Dude, what the fuck? How do you get any satisfaction out of this? How can you get, I call you motherfuckers Gestapo every day. How is that possible? You're not enforcing immigration laws, dumbass. You're just basically harassing random people. The entire point of immigration, like if Donald Trump's presented argument was correct, that like these undocumented migrants were actually an ever-present danger to regular American citizens, then it would be justifiable to actually apprehend them as long as you follow due process. But that's not the fucking case. The people that you are literally kidnapping from their court hearings, as you have personal altercations with Brad Lander, are people who are no different than you. They're no different than you. As a matter of fact, they actually have a helpful output in general. They're a part of the productive forces. You're not. They do more for this country than you do. That's crazy. I genuinely don't understand how you could be in here day in, day out. I swear I've been here for like the past 4 to 5 years. First of all, you've been an account created December 4th, following since December 4th. So I don't know about that. I need money. It's not an easy job, but I got pills to pay. I can't just quit. I don't brutalize them. I don't harass them. I don't get joy out of it. It's my job. Brother, quit your job and get something else. Quit your job and do something else. I promise you. Okay? It will be better for your morality and maybe even better down the line when there might be some legal repercussions for the actions that you engaged in. Because there is going to be a point. Right now, you think there is a point where you could just be like, oh yeah, I'm just following orders. I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. You are already engaging in a bunch of fucking immoral behavior. Okay? How can you sit there and feel like what you're doing is good for the goddamn country when you're literally ripping away families in a court right after they leave the immigration court hearing? Like, how can you at any given point look at what you're doing there and go, well, a job is a job. You know, it is what it is. Like, your job is kidnapping random fucking people who could just as easily get their paperwork done. If they had more money, then they would not even be considered illegal. Let's be real. That's the exact same thing that Nazis said, by the way. I'm just following orders. That's what they said. And that's what you're doing right now. If you've genuinely been in this community for fucking every day at 26 Federal Plaza, we have a list of people with criminal offenses who will get their cases dismissed. We don't take anybody. We take specific people. Dude, we just showed that your own ICE data shows that the largest group of immigrants that are being detained right now, the largest growth in immigrants being detained, have no criminal background whatsoever. What are you talking about? No, you don't take specific people. That's ridiculous. That is fucking ridiculous. You think ICE is taking specific people. Maybe your unit has only taken specific people. But the reality of the matter is that's not what's going on. How can you say that? They're fucking detaining American citizens all the goddamn time. It's ridiculous. And once again, even the specific people that you are detaining, even the specific people that you think you're detaining, are being detained and being deported because of paperwork. It is ridiculous. Deportation is a very violent process in general, being ripped away from your friends, your family, your job, everything that you know. The punishment needs to be suitable for the crime. If the crime is just, sorry, we're never going to give you the proper paperwork as we fucking use and abuse you, knowing full well, and if you've been an ICE agent for years, you know this already, ICE agents know exactly where the undocumented migrants are because there's a handshake agreement, at least under different administrations, as to people playing ball with ICE that will never get their paperwork cleared. But everybody knows exactly where they are. Everybody knows that they're not like violating the fucking laws in an egregious manner. At most, it's like unpaid bills or traffic violations or moving violations or whatever the fuck. Okay, you're out here making it seem like you're you know, you got people with criminal offenses like fucking rapists and baby decapitators or some shit. You either are gaslighting yourself into believing that because the facts don't actually bear that out at all. The data doesn't include crimes like DUI. DUI is a big part of people we target right now. And trust me, we do take specific people. I can't talk for ERO New York. I can't for the entire country, but yes. I'm not even going to get into like whether or not someone who is engaged in a fucking DUI or at least arrested for a DUI, not convicted, arrested for a DUI is worthy of fucking deporting from the goddamn country. Defense attorney here, ICE is literally notorious in courts here for literally just sitting in courtrooms and seeing if anyone has an immigration issue and then just fucking taking them. It's not specific people. They would literally just go to court and listen for people to deport. Exactly. Yeah, ICE be like, no, nine, you don't understand it. We are only taking the bad Jews, yeah? The bad Jews. The bad Juden, not the good Juden. All right? Some of the Juden were doing usury, and we are taking them, not the bad ones. Or not the good ones, just the bad ones. I can't speak for everyone else in the SS, but mine unit is only taking the bad Jews and not the good ones. Earlier today, when you said about 20% of the country is in complete denial about the way in which the country has become unapologetically fascist, I thought it definitely has to be more than 20%. Then I remembered I live in Missouri and I'm 100% surrounded by that 20% at any given time. Yes, that's probably what it is. Like, oh, dude, you guys had a... Before I lose your attention, I need you to ask something. You always say we need to give amnesty to people. Even if we did, wouldn't we then have to enforce immigration laws? Yes, there is a point where immigration laws can be enforced, but that process is paperwork. You realize that you are fucking apprehending and deporting people for paperwork problems, right? At the end of the day, that's all this is. The punishment for a DUI is a punishment for a DUI, okay? The punishment for a DUI on top of paperwork issues should not mean that someone gets fucking lasered out and shipped off to CCOT in El Salvador into a slave labor camp. What the fuck? It's a troll. I don't even think this is a troll because, I mean, either this is the most elaborate bit because he was in here talking about Brad Lander and he's talking about New York ERO. What I'm doing is enforcing laws that the Congress passed. How come Congress people don't get any smoke, but I get screamed at every day? Brother, because you're the one who's doing the enforcement. Fuck the Congress people. You think we like the Congress people? If you've been in here for 4 to 5 years, who the fuck do you think I like in Congress? What are you, crazy? Go deport them. I think the American government, the American people would celebrate you for doing that instead of deporting random fucking landscapers. What the fuck? That's the whole point. No one who's actually worthy of any sort of serious scrutiny, serious cruelty ever gets the fucking receiving end of said punishment. It's always random, vulnerable people that haven't actually done anything. And it's all just people justifying why they have to do this all the way down. Ridiculous. Kaya, please. ICE agent on Twitch? I don't believe it. I do believe it. He probably got banned on a previous account. That's why he's in here in a sock account. If he's been in here for 4 to 5 years, it does make sense. Not this community, but people recording raids yell Nazi SS scum all the time, but no one gets to Congress and yells at them. Well, yes, they do. Also, Congresspersons are not as accessible as an ICE agent who is doing the fucking deportation in that moment. This doesn't mean that they're not criminal scumbags either. And in opportune moments, when they are in broad daylight in public, people do that same exact thing. They're just not in public as frequently as a fucking ICE agent is. Ask me specific questions if you don't believe me, but I have a different account, but I just didn't want to dox the account I always use. Oh my God, this is like, that's crazy. That's crazy. I always wondered, like, are there any cops in here? Because I shit on cops so much. But it turns out there's ICE agents, so there might as well be fucking cops in here too. How the fuck does that even work? Like, I get why there are veterans in this community, because I do actually consistently talk about, you know, how brainwashed every American citizen is. But like maybe a former cop or something. I was shocked when there was a British cop that actually approached me and told me he was a fucking fan. But I guess they're British, so they were just like, thinking I'm only shitting on American cops or something. I don't know. Brother, I know the job market is ass. Okay, I get it. I understand it. But there is no honor in this, okay? If there was honor in this, you wouldn't be trying to fucking, justify it with self-soothing statements over and over again, being like, listen, I don't know. It's just a job. It's all this shit. He put a digital mask on by creating a second account. Because, like, at the end of the day, you know how I always say cops need to do their jobs, like, and they're not doing their jobs. And there's also, like, detectives and shit, too, obviously. Like, there is a valid purpose for it, okay? But there is no valid purpose for ICE. It's not defending the American borders. It's not defending anything at all. There's a valid for customs. There's a valid for Border Patrol. There's a valid reason for Border Patrol to exist. There's a valid reason for INS to exist. But the whole point of INS is supposed to literally conduct, very rarely, deportation initiatives. And for the most part, recognize if someone is actually, recognize if someone's like paperwork is actually out of date or something, is to go to them and be like, your paperwork is out of date. You have to fix this. You have to go to fucking court. Like, that's, in a normal circumstance, that's how it's supposed to be. INS isn't a thing anymore. I know. I'm just saying that's what it used to be. It used to be INS. That is what it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work in this situation. As a vet, I get where you're coming from, but most of the dudes I serve with kind of deserve to be on the streets with a single Hello Kitty sock and a drinking problem. Okay, that's crazy. Anyway, I don't plan on doing this forever. I would like to move on to HSI or FBI or something, but yeah, right now this is what I have to deal with. Oh my God, brother. Well, good luck, because there's not any funding on that other side either. HSI or FBI, great. Bro, you are working in a call center. They don't fuck with you. Ask them what color of the day is. What? What the color of the day is? What do you mean? Politicians are hearing about it. Congressional Republicans. What? It's Fed talk. I saw it in a movie. What? What the fuck are you saying? Bro, you have to quit your job. I'm serious. You have to quit your job and also leak all of the fucked up shit that they've done to a journalist immediately. Maybe even you can write a book about it if you want, but that's crazy. Color of the day for random drug testing? Oh, like, I understand the job market not being shit, but that's crazy that you're like, well, job market's not shit, so I have to fucking apprehend random abuelas outside of a fucking courthouse because the current administration has decided that they ain't shit, that we're basically going to use them as a fucking talking point. You know what I mean? We're just basically going to use them. We're going to use these people that we have abused for years and years as a way to make 20% of the population feel superior and not recognize how hard they're getting ass fucked too. Because everyone's getting fucked in this situation except for the 1%. And basically all these guys are doing is like throwing red meat in front of people, and that red meat happens to be the deportation and apprehension of some of the most vulnerable people in American society that have done nothing, really. They getting lobster in the army. Meanwhile, you're getting yelled at. Pick the wrong job, bub. Hey, Hassan, I'm a longtime fascist community member. I agree with most of the things you say, but I just believe in a culture in group and strong corporate control over the economy.
Damn, this guy's good.